From Viera, Florida to the world via the internet, welcome to Brevard County Manatees Baseball. I'm Stephen Smith of SpaceCoastBaseball.com, and I'll be telling you about tonight's game from the first pitch until the final out. This is the final game in a four-game series here in Viera between the Jupiter Hammerheads, Florida Manatees affiliate, and the Brevard County Manatees, Milwaukee Brewers affiliate. The Hammerheads overall have the worst record in the Florida State League at 35-69, 337 winning percentage. The Manatees overall 50-56, 472. Here in the second half, the Hammerheads 13-23, last place in the Florida State League South, while the Manatees are at 23-14, 3 games behind the red-hot Daytona Cubs and 2 games behind the second-place Tampa Yankees. You would think with such a disparity in the records between the two teams that the Manatees would be quite successful against the Hammerheads, but it hasn't been that way so far. In the 6 contests so far in which the Manatees and Hammerheads have faced each other, Jupiter has actually won 4 out of those 6 games. And in fact, in the first 3 games of this series, the Hammerheads won on the 31st by a score of 3-2. And then they won on Sunday by a score of 2-1 in a game that was shortened by rain. And then last night, the Manatees came from behind to win by a score of 5-3. So we're in the final game of the 4-game series tonight, and the Manatees will try to even that score. And they send out to the mound Cody Heckathorn, who is making his 3rd start of the year since joining the Manatees from the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers of the Midwest League. And opposing Kyle will be Johnny Dorn, the starting pitcher tonight for the Hammerheads. He's been with Jupiter all year long. We'll give you the starting lineups in just a moment, so if you want to keep score, get yourself a pencil and a piece of paper, and we'll give you the starting lineups. While we do that, a couple of administrative things. If this is your first time listening to one of our webcasts, the Manatees do not have a radio contract, so SpaceCoastBaseball.com volunteered to broadcast 15 games this year on the internet to get them out there for Manatees fans, the players' parents, Brewers fans, Florida State League fans, or anybody who just happens to enjoy minor league baseball. But because this is a volunteer effort, there are no commercials, we have no products to peddle, and at the same time that means that nobody's paying us to do this, and therefore we are able to finance these webcasts based solely on the donations of you, the listeners, if you enjoy what you're hearing. So if you want to support us with these webcasts, if you'll go to the homepage at www.spacecoastbaseball.com, you'll see a link there which gives you more information about how you can support SpaceCoastBaseball.com with a one-time donation, or you can sign up for a $5 a month voluntary subscription. You'll also see that I've added quite a bit of multimedia content since our last webcast. I came out here last Friday, July 30th, to shoot photos and a lot of video. In particular, I want to draw your attention to on the SpaceCoastBaseball.com homepage, under the left column where it says videos. Check out the top link where it says take a video walking tour of the Space Coast Stadium field as seen from the player's perspective. And that came out of an idea we had in the last broadcast on the 29th, where we came up with the idea of, well, we're always describing these unique features of the stadium to you, and how's about we just put together a video that actually takes you around and shows you some of these features. So that's what that is, and you can watch that at your leisure. You'll also notice underneath there are some video highlights from the game offense, and also Sergio Miranda's home run, his first home run of the year, and also you can see Cody Scarpetta pitching for the Manatees against the St. Lucie Mets. All right, let's give you the starting lineups now. First for the visiting Jupiter Hammerheads. Leading it off and in center field is number 6, Kevin Mattison, Mattison. Batting second is the shortstop, number 24, Javier, Javier Guzman, Guzman. Batting third is the first baseman, number 15, Paul Graham, Gran. Batting fourth is the left fielder, number 33, Jeremy Synan, S-Y-N-A-N. Batting fifth is the second baseman, number 10, Ernesto Manzanillo, M-A-N-Z-A-N-I-L-L-O. Batting sixth is the third baseman, number 14, Jacob Smolinski, S-M-O-L-I-N-S-K-I. Batting seventh is the right fielder, number 16, Thomas Hickman. Batting eighth is the designated hitter, number 4, Brett with 2 T's, Hayes, H-A-Y-E-S. And batting ninth is the catcher, number 30, Jose Ceballos, C-E-B-A-L-L-O-S. And the starting pitcher for the Hammerheads, number 23, Johnny Dorn, D-O-R-N. All right, the starting lineup for the Manatees. Leading it off at shortstop is number 17, Josh Prince. Batting second and at third base is number 9, Peter Fatse, F-A-T-S-E. Matt Klein gets the night off. Batting third and in center field is number 8, Eric with a K, Komatsu, K-O-M-A-T-S-U. Batting fourth is a designated hitter, number 16, Angel Salome, S-A-L-O-M-E. Batting fifth is the first baseman, number 10, Sergio Miranda, the utility player. Getting a chance to play first base tonight as Sean Halton gets the night off. Batting sixth and in right field, number 47, Scott with 2 T's, Krieger, K-R-I-E-G-E-R. Batting seventh is the catcher, number 5, Sean, S-E-A-N, McCraw, M-C-C-R-A-W. Batting eighth is the left fielder, number 33, Brock Kelgard, spelled K-J-E-L-D-G-A-A-R-D. The J and the first D are silent. And batting ninth is the second baseman, number 30, Juan Sanchez. And the starting pitcher once again is number 38, Kyle Heckathorn, H-E-C-K-A-T-H-A-O-R-N. Did I spell that right? Once again, I'll give it to you. H-E-C-K-A-T-H-O-R-N. That's what happens when you're middle-aged and you try to multitask. The Manatees are down by the first base dugout waiting to take the field. The Manatees have 2 mascots, one of which is Manny the Manatee, a giant sea cow essentially, and he's down there talking to some of the kids. And a second mascot was added this year, Superfan, who's basically a geeky-looking guy, and I can say that because I certainly pride myself as being a geek, who wears a pair of glasses and a white sweatband and a faded powder blue Superman T-shirt and shorts. And he used to wear a red cape, but he's minus the cape tonight. And maybe he saw that Pixar movie, The Incredibles, where the fashion designer for the superheroes, Emma Mode, said no capes, and they showed what happens to people who wear capes. In any case, we're having the lineup exchange now at home plate. Coming out for the Manatees, number 12, Bob Messick, the manager, M-I-S-C-I-K. The manager for the Hammerheads is number 44, Ron Hassey, H-A-S-S-E-Y. You'll hear in the background tonight a lot of Beatles tunes because the promotion tonight, as you might expect, is it's Beatles Appreciation Night. If you happen to be here in Brevard and you share a first name or a last name with one of the Beatles, you can show your ID and receive a free ticket to tonight's game. So if your first name happens to be John, Paul, George, or heaven forbid, Ringo, or your last name happens to be Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, or Starr, you can come down here to the ballpark and get in for free. Space Coast Stadium, located in central Brevard County, and you can get here from anywhere in the county within a half hour. Best way to get here is to go to the I-95 freeway and head for central Brevard until you get to exit 195. So take the I-95 to exit 195. You'll see that's labeled as Fisk Boulevard. When you exit at Fisk Boulevard, you'll see signs indicating to turn south towards the stadium. And as you head south, it changes from Fisk Boulevard to Stadium Parkway. You'll go about 3 miles, and you'll get to Space Coast Stadium on your right. Parking is free, and when you come in, all tickets are $7 general admission per person. And you can sit anywhere in 7,500-seat Space Coast Stadium, with the exception of the few seats that have yellow stickers on them that indicate that they've been assigned to season ticket holders. But otherwise, you can sit anywhere you want. Most fans choose to sit between the third base and first base dugouts. If you choose to go down to the aluminum bleachers down the foul lines, that's up to you. The Manatees take the field wearing their formal white uniforms tonight with the navy blue lettering and red piping. The Hammerheads step out from the third base dugout, and we're ready to hear the national anthem. So I'll put the headset out the window and move back right after that. The national anthem performed by a young lady with a wind instrument. I'm certainly not musically inclined. I think that's an oboe, but quite frankly, I wouldn't know. So forgive the error if need be. Kyle Heckathorn warming up for his third start of the year with the Manatees. It began the year in the Midwest League with the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, the Midwest League one level below the Florida State League. In 17 games, 13 starts with Wisconsin. Heckathorn 6-6 with a 2.96 ERA. In 85 innings, gave up 82 hits, struck out 67, walked 23, and gave up just 2 home runs. He then was promoted here to Brevard County, making his first start on July 24th, and then his second start was our last webcast on July 29th. So between those 2 games, he is 2-0 with a 2.08 ERA in 13 innings, 12 hits. He struck out 6, walked 2, and given up 1 home run. Baseball America ranks Kyle Heckathorn as the Milwaukee Brewers' number 10 prospect on their top 30 list. Kevin Madison stepping in for the Hammerheads in the top of the first, batting left-handed against Heckathorn. Madison batting just .217, 2 homers, 18 RBI. Heckathorn winds in his first pitch. Fastball outside corner, strike 1. Madison, low batting average, but he does lead the Florida State League in stolen bases, so it's important to keep him off the base paths. Fastball misses off the outside corner, and the count's 1-1. The Manatees defensively, it's Sergio Miranda at first, Juan Sanchez at second, Josh Prince at short, and Peter Fosse at third. There's a fly ball to center field. Eric Komatsu into the alley in right center field, and he has it for the first out. The Brevard outfield has Brock Kelgard in left, Eric Komatsu in center, and Scott Krieger in right. Sean McCraw behind the plate, and it's Kyle Heckathorn on the mound. One down, and that'll bring up the Jupiter shortstop, Javier Guzman, batting .250. He's only been in 17 games for the Hammerheads, 15 for 60, 2 home runs, 7 RBI, batting left-handed. First pitch by Heckathorn, fastball away, ball 1. All fastballs so far, and they've been right around 91, 92 miles an hour according to the radar gun behind home plate. Kyle's next pitch is a hard grounder past Miranda into right field for a base hit. Scott Krieger comes in to field it, and Javier Guzman is on with a 1-out single. Not a familiar position for Miranda there at first. So that'll bring up first baseman Paul Gran, Gran. He's batting .263 with 6 home runs, 23 RBI for the Hammerheads, batting right-handed. The sun's setting behind the first base stands, and so that means it's shining right into the eyes of the shortstop, the third baseman, and the left fielder. Heckathorn working from his stretch, and his first pitch is an off-speed pitch that hits the inside corner, strike 1. That might have been a slider. Seemed to have more left-right motion than up-down, which would be typical of a curveball. Quite frankly, most pitchers are somewhere in between, which is called a slurve. 0-1 pitch is another slider that misses off the outside corner, and the count goes 1-1. Guzman at first is 2 for 7 in stolen base attempts, being held on by Sergio Miranda, who's been quite the utility player this year, but I haven't seen him at first base so far this year. There's a throw over to first, and back standing is Guzman. First baseman Sean Halton getting the night off, as is second baseman Matt Klein. So that has rearranged the Manatees infield just a little bit. A little bit more aggressive lead by Guzman. And the 1-1 pitch is a fastball inside, and it counts 2-1. When Guzman takes his lead, his right arm, which points towards second base, makes a swinging pendulum motion. That may be some sort of a timing mechanism. That may be trying to make it look like he's going to go, or maybe it's just a bad habit. 2-1 pitch is a grounder down to short. Prince can't get it out of his glove, now goes on to first for the out. Josh was thinking about trying to turn too, but he couldn't get the ball out of his glove, so he wasn't able to get Guzman, who advances to second. Gran is out at first 6-3, and with 2 down, that'll bring up the left fielder, Jeremy Synan, Synan, batting .238 with 5 home runs, 32 RBI. Synan bats left-handed, the third of 4 left-handed batters in this inning. Heckathorn comes set. Takes a look back at Guzman at second, and his first pitch is a changeup off the outside corner, 1-0. Home plate umpire Roberto Medina, and the infield umpire is Matt Moisan, Moisan. Only 2 umpires at this level of minor league baseball. There's always the home plate umpire and then an infield umpire who will move around based on the circumstances. 1-0 pitch is a fastball down low, and the count's 2-0. With nobody on base, the infield umpire will stand behind the first baseman because he has to make the call at that base. But when there's a runner on, and if there's multiple runners on, then he's going to position himself somewhere in the middle infield. And right now, Moisan is roughly on a line between home plate and shortstop, standing behind the pitcher. There's a fastball that misses off the outside corner again, and the count is 3-0. So if you were to draw a line from home plate out to Josh Prince at short, Moisan is right between the two. And, of course, that means that the shortstop has to peek around the umpire to see what's going on. At the same time, Josh is trying to hold Guzman on at second. Fastball misses down low, ball 4. So Synan draws his 29th walk of the year. Guzman still at second. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Ernesto Manzanillo. Switch hitter is going to bat left-handed against Heckathorn. He's batting .264 in 41 games. 1 home run, 12 RBI. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. Just underway here in Brevard, no score. Runners on first and second and nobody out. Heckathorn looks back at the runner at second, and he does go to second, and the tag by Prince is just a bit late. Almost had him there as Guzman dove back in. Prince slapped that throw down, but it was just a bit late. Heckathorn's first pitch is sliced the opposite way down the left field line, and it's going to go foul. It bounces on the fly off of the tarp, rolled up against the third base stands. Brock Kelgard over to field that ball, and he tosses it to a young man in the stands. We have a pretty good turnout tonight, but still plenty of room. So if you're here in Brevard County, still time to come out and join us. 0-1 pitch. Fastball misses away, and the count is 1-1. Kyle's missing off the outside part of the plate, and that one was probably a good 6 inches off the outside corner. Setting sun shining in the eyes of shortstop Josh Prince, the third baseman Peter Fotze, and the left fielder Brock Kelgard. 1-1 pitch. Changeup hits the outside corner, and the count goes 1-2. On deck is the third baseman Jacob Smolinski. 1-2 pitch. Fastball misses away, and the count's 2-2. Well, you can say that Kyle is being consistent with his fastball. The problem is he's consistently missing off the outside corner. Guzman off of second. Steinen off of first. 2-2 pitch. It's a hard grounder. What a diving play by Prince. Turns, looks for a place to throw, but he can't find a destination. Nice round of applause by the fans for Josh Prince, who dove to his right, kept that ball from going into left field. He got up and looked for a place to throw, but saw that Steinen was already at second, Guzman at third, and there was no way he was going to make the long throw across the diamond to get Manzanillo. So now the bases are loaded with 2 down, and that'll bring up Jake Smolinski, batting .253, 4 home runs, 33 RBI. Right-handed batter against Heckathorn. First pitch by Kyle. Fastball high, 1-0. Smolinski very familiar with the Space Coast complex here. He was originally selected by the Washington Nationals in the second round of the 2007 draft. 1-0 pitch by Heckathorn. Up and inside, 2-0. Smolinski was traded with second baseman Emilio Bonifacio and pitcher T.J. Dean to the Marlins for outfielder Josh Willingham and pitcher Scott Olson in November of 2008. So that's how he wound up in the Marlins organization. 2-0 pitch is another fastball inside, 3-0, and time called by the catcher Sean McCraw, who goes out to talk to Heckathorn. So Smolinski began his minor league career in 2007 playing across the parking lot here at the Washington Nationals Gulf Coast League minor league complex, where he batted .305 in 28 games. Was injured part of 2008 and actually came back and played a second year in the Gulf Coast League on rehab. Got into 3 games, was 1 for 9. Count 3-0. Bases loaded. Kyle's pitch is a fastball up high, ball 4, and he forces in a run. Jupiter takes a 1-0 lead. Second walk of the inning for Heckathorn, and right on cue, here comes pitching coach Fred Dabney. Now the Manatees are a Milwaukee Brewers affiliate, and yet we're in the Washington Nationals complex. You might wonder, how can that be? Well, we can go into the long history of this franchise. The Manatees were at one time a Florida Marlins affiliate. They then became the Montreal Expos affiliate, and When the Expos moved to Washington, the Nationals decided that they wanted to have their advanced Class A team nearby D.C. in Potomac, Maryland. So that opened up the parent club affiliation here in Brevard, and the Brewers came in starting with the 2006 season. This is the spring training home of the Washington Nationals, and you do see Nationals logos around the complex, but it's a Milwaukee Brewers team playing here, and it's the only arrangement where you have one team playing in another team's spring training stadium. All right, that brings up right fielder Tom Hickman. First pitch by Heckathorn. Fastball outside corner, strike one. Hickman batting .213, 5 home runs, 17 RBI. Batting left-handed. A lot of left-handers up against Kyle in this inning. 0-1 pitch is lined the other way. It's going to fall in front of Brock Kelleguard for a base hit in left field. 1 run in, 2 runs in. The ball dies on Brock, so he has to pick it up over by the foul line. Stopping at second is Smolinski. Hickman on first with a 2 RBI single. Sinan and Manzanillo score on the hit. And the Manatees now trail the Hammerheads by a score of 3-0. And the 8th hitter in the inning comes up, designated hitter Brett Hayes. Just 2 for 15 in limited duty here in the Florida State League. No homers, no RBI. Batting right-handed. First pitch by Kyle. Fastball inside corner, strike one. Very atypical start for Kyle Heckathorn. Dominant in his first 2 starts here in the Florida State League, and dominant most of the season before that in the Midwest League with Wisconsin. 0-1 pitch is swung on and it's fouled over the press box and out of the stadium. Counts 0-2. On deck is the catcher, Jose Ceballos. The middle infielders, Sanchez at second and Prince at short, are right at the outer edge of the infield dirt, 1 step from going out onto the outfield grass. 0-2 pitch. Fastball high and away, and the count's 1-2. The outfielders about at average depth. Eric Komatsu in center field, a couple of steps into right center. Brock Kelleguard in left is almost into left center field. Next pitch is swung on and it's fouled right back into the net, and the count remains 1-2. The Hammerheads uniforms look very similar to the Florida Marlins road jerseys, that teal and black motif. It says Jupiter across the front. Swung on and missed an inside pitch, and it looks like it got through the catcher and it hit home plate umpire Roberto Medina in the face. Coming out is the Manatees trainer and the infield umpire, Matt Moisen. It must have been a foul tip, because the batter, Hayes, did not head for first, and it smacked into the face mask, I'm sure, of the home plate umpire, Medina, and he sat right down. Like you were going to sit back in a chair, that's how he sat, but he went all the way to the ground, and the batter, Hayes, is down putting an arm on Medina's shoulder, and the catcher, Sean McCraw, who certainly can identify, he's kneeling in front of Medina, and I'm suspecting that the Manatees trainer, Tommy Craig, may be giving him smelling salts. It kind of looked like maybe he was waving something in front of Medina's face. Of course, he could have been maybe asking him, how many fingers do you see? But we were discussing earlier that at this level of minor league baseball, you have only 2 umpires. So if Medina is unable to continue, that means that infield umpire Matt Moisen goes behind the plate, and we have 1 umpire. It looks to me like the trainer now may be checking Medina's eyes. It looks like he's shining a pencil light to check his pupils and see what kind of eye reflex reaction he gets. So this may take a little bit of time. If we get down to one umpire, I'm not quite sure what we do. I know under some scenarios that some home teams keep a local umpire on call for emergencies such as this. In fact, I was listening to the Los Angeles Angels AAA team, the Salt Lake Bees, had a day game today in Portland, and they mentioned they had a local umpire filling in at third base. So I think that can happen. I think also in extreme circumstances that each side can select one player to umpire on the infield to keep things even. But Roberto Medina is back on his feet to a round of applause from the fans, which I'm sure he's not used to hearing very often. Tommy Craig still checking Medina around the cheeks and feeling around underneath his ears and the back of his neck, checking for any indications of a fracture. If you want to email me, as always, the email address here is home@spacecoastbaseball.com. That's home@spacecoastbaseball.com. Or you can go to the spacecoastbaseball.com homepage and click where it says, click here to email spacecoastbaseball.com, and I'll check for those emails as time is appropriate. While we wait for Roberto Medina to be checked out here, and I'm hoping he's going to continue, the local newspaper here, Florida Today, has had a couple of excellent articles recently on subjects relative interest to the Space Coast. And just as a note, before I get into that, the batter, Brett Hayes, is walking away from home plate, and he's going back into the dugout. So that, again, may suggest we may have a bit of a delay here. The on-deck batter, Jose Ceballos, is still out on deck. Mark Dakotas, who is the baseball beat writer for Florida Today, had an article on July 30th about Wunderkind baseball pitcher Steven Strasburg, who began his professional career with the Nationals here in Fall Instructional League last October. In fact, I think it was last September, actually. If you go to the spacecoastbaseball.com homepage and on the menu bar click Multimedia and then select Video, you will see video footage that I filmed of Strasburg pitching in his first pro game ever. It was filmed right from behind home plate, 2 innings, so you can see how Strasburg appeared when he pitched for the first time. In any case, the article that Mark Dakotas wrote was noting how Strasburg went on the disabled list last week and said that this reignited the debate over whether today's big league baseball pitchers are coddled. Strasburg was scratched from last Tuesday's scheduled start against the Atlanta Braves after he couldn't get his pitching arm loose in the bullpen warm-up session. Subsequent MRI revealed inflammation in Strasburg's right shoulder, which led the Nationals to skip his next start and place him on the DL. Mark Dakotas interviewed Brad Dabney, the Manatees pitching coach, for his opinion. Now, an update on the field. Roberto Medina is leaving the field. He's being escorted by infield umpire Matt Moyson and the Manatees trainer, Tommy Craig. So we are going to have an indefinite delay here. The two managers are now meeting behind home plate. Ron Hasse for the Hammerheads and Bob Missick for the Manatees. And I'm sure they're probably discussing what's going to happen here. Missick pointing down to first, pointing down to third. And again, like I said, I believe there is a scenario or an option where under these circumstances each team can designate one player, obviously not a player in the lineup, but designate one player to act as an interim umpire. And I don't know if we're going to see that or not. The other possibility is that the Manatees front office might have a local umpire on call for an emergency such as this. So we are in a delay, and we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. In any case, getting back to Mark Dakota's story about Stephen Strasburg, he interviewed Fred Dabney, the pitching coach for the Manatees. And I thought it was a very incisive interview because Dabney told us about how it is that a professional pitching coach views a starting pitcher and how you evaluate them, because everybody's body is different. No two pitchers are alike. Dabney said it depends on the individual and at times the mechanics of that person and the delivery that person had. As far as injuries and stuff like that and pitchers being coddled, obviously you're a little bit more cautious nowadays than we were back then, just for the fact of the investments you have with these players. Strasburg, who was the number 1 pick overall in the 2009 draft, signed a $15.1 million contract with the Nationals and is seen as the future of that perpetually struggling franchise. Now, Dakotas raised the question with Fred Dabney as to whether pitchers should be throwing more often to get more muscle exercise or whether they need to be reined in more. And Fred Dabney says back in the day, pitchers threw and threw and threw. I don't think their injuries were noticed as much. Now with the MRIs and all the technology, I think at times some of those pitchers probably threw with certain injuries and more soreness than usual, and they just threw. Now that stuff is monitored and watched so carefully. Dakotas continues and says, but a lot of it has to do also with a pitcher's mechanics and delivery, which, if improper, could lead to injury. And Fred Dabney brings up the example of Nolan Ryan, who, in addition to being a Hall of Fame pitcher, was also a fitness fanatic. And I can remember when Ryan pitched for my Angels and went on to the Astros and later the Rangers, he was very disciplined after every start. 45 minutes on an exercise bike, even after his no-hitters, he would get right on that bike. And here's what Fred Dabney had to say about Nolan. He said, Nolan Ryan, he had one of the best deliveries as far as getting to his power triangle and finishing. Plus, he was a beast in conditioning. Some guys can throw forever and nothing happens. And some guys, a certain amount of innings, they come up sore. That's just the nature of the beast. And I'll digress from the article here, and I'll mention that if you go over to the other baseball complex here in Brevard, to Coco Expo, which was the original minor league spring training complex here in Brevard County. It opened in 1964, originally the Houston Astros minor league complex, and after the Astros left for Kissimmee in 1984, the Florida Marlins in their expansion year 1993, they came into Coco Expo for a year before they moved over here to the Space Coast complex. But in any case, if you head over to Coco Expo and you go over to where the batting cages are, pretty much in the middle of the complex, you'll notice that there is a ramp attached to one side of the batting cages. It goes up at maybe a 30 to 45 degree angle. That ramp was built specifically for Nolan Ryan after the Astros signed him as a free agent before the 1980 season. And that was so the Ryan could run serpentine up and down that ramp to exercise his legs during spring training. I have a friend, Jack Hyatt, who just retired as the farm director of the San Francisco Giants, and he was minor league manager for the Astros back in 1980. And he says he remembers watching Ryan run up and down that ramp. And he said nobody else would even attempt it, and yet Ryan did it routinely. And if you look at the way that Nolan Ryan is built, if you look back at some vintage footage, you'll see he's very strong and thick through the trunk. That's through the waist area and the hips. And that's very typical of durable starting pitchers. I always hold up Ryan and Tom Seaver as the classic examples, but more recently, if you look at somebody like Roger Clemens, for example, he's built that way too. On the field, Kyle Heckathorn is walking over towards the Manatees dugout. Catcher Sean McCraw has left the field. And I'm looking to see if Kyle's going to sit down. He walks between pitching coach Fred Dabney and manager Bob Missick. I was curious to see if Kyle was going to throw an occasional warm-up pitch to stay warm, but apparently he's not. He's going to sit down, and they're going to treat it kind of like, well, the Manatees just came up to bat. So that's what's happening there on the field. For the rest of the players, third baseman Peter Foxe and shortstop Josh Prince are over at third base, standing with the Hammerheads runner Jake Smolinski and the third base coach for the Hammerheads, number 21, Bobby Bell, who's the hitting coach. The three outfielders are together in center field, left fielder Brock Kelgard, Eric Komatsu, and right field Scott Krieger. Sergio Miranda apparently has returned to the dugout, and now it looks like another infielder is going in. I believe that's Josh Prince. General manager Kyle Smith has just run over from the third base dugout to the first base dugout, talking to Bob Missick. And now Kyle's walking to the far end of the dugout, and he's on a handset on a walkie-talkie. I'm going to finish this story that Mark Dakotas wrote about pitching mechanics, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the headset down for just a minute and go over into the PA area and see if I can get an update from them as to what's going on. In any case, we said that Fred Dabney was talking about Nolan Ryan, and Mark Dakotas notes that Ryan, a Hall of Famer and president of the Texas Rangers, has been vocal in his criticism of modern pitchers. He quotes a Sports Illustrated article on May 24th in which Nolan said that pitchers have been pampered. Our expectations of them have been lowered. There's no reason why kids today can't pitch as many innings as people did in my era. Today, a quality start is 6 innings. What's quality about that? Nolan says, baseball got into allowing these kids to not do the work. Money is the reason, and the excuse you get from organizations is that they're protecting their investments. Well, protect the investment too much, and you may not get the return. All right, well, I'm going to put the headset out the window for just a bit, and I'm going to let you listen to the crowd noise. And then meanwhile, I'm going to go over into the PA area and see if I can get any kind of an update as to what's going on. And meanwhile, if you want to email me with a question or a comment or a thought or anything that'll work to fill airtime, please feel free to do so. Email me at home@spacecoastbaseball.com. That's home@spacecoastbaseball.com. And I will be back in a couple of minutes.
Hi, everyone. I have an update on the situation on the field. For those of you who have come in late, what happened was that with the Hammerheads ahead 3-0 in the top of the first and 2 down, and designated hitter Brett Hayes at the plate, he swung and fouled back at the home plate umpire. A pitch that hit home plate umpire Roberto Medina in the face mask. Medina sat down, apparently suffering some sort of an injury. Manatees trainer Tommy Craig came out and examined him, and the decision was made that he was going to be unable to continue. So he has left the field. Infield umpire Matt Moisen is now behind home plate. And from what I'm told, a mutual decision between Hammerheads manager Ron Hasse and Manatees manager Bob Missick is that they have mutually agreed to designate Milwaukee Brewers roving hitting coordinator Darnell Coles, who just happened to be in town, as the infield umpire. So Darnell Coles, wearing a Milwaukee Brewers uniform with a Navy pullover, is now taking the field as an infield umpire, and Matt Moisen is behind the plate. Brett Hayes returns to the plate, and Kyle Heckathorn back to the mound, resuming on a 1-2 count. History being made here tonight at Space Coast Stadium. A rare situation where emergency rules are being put into effect, with Brewers roving hitting coordinator Darnell Coles as an infield umpire. 1-2 pitch is a changeup, swung on and missed, strike 3. Well, Kyle Heckathorn was struggling in the inning. He had given up 3 runs on 3 hits and 2 walks, and he had runners on first and second. But after the injury, he had a time to go back to the dugout and clear his head. Came out on the first pitch, threw a changeup in the eyes of designated hitter Brett Hayes to end the inning. So 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors, 2 left. Then we go to the bottom of the first, and it's the Hammerheads 3, the Manatees coming to bat against Johnny Dorn. Once again, if you want to email me, we're off to a heck of a start, but the email address is home@spacecoastbaseball.com. That's home@spacecoastbaseball.com. Johnny Dorn coming on to pitch for the Hammerheads. Dorn, this is his 22nd appearance of the year, 21st start. Overall, 2-8 record with a 4.78 ERA. In 113 innings, he's given up 136 hits, struck out 70, walked just 26, and his paucity of walks gives him the 4th lowest walks per 9 innings ratio in the Florida State League at 1.60. That means he walks only 1.6 batters every 9 innings. In the bottom of the first for the Manatees, it'll be Josh Prince at first, or John Prince leading off, followed by Eric Fatse and Eric Komatsu. Again, we've lost the home plate umpire Roberto Medina to injury, so infield umpire Matt Moisen is behind home plate, and the Brewers' roving hitting coordinator Darnell Coles is the infield umpire. He's now stationed behind first base. Josh Prince steps in. First pitch by Dorn, inside, ball 1. Batting right-handed against the right-hander right-hander Dorn. 1-0 pitch. Fastball hits the outside corner, and it's 1-1. Prince batting .240, 1 home run, 18 RBI. One pitch. It's a hard grounder right down to the shortstop Guzman, who goes across the diamond to the first baseman Grand for the first out.
Ladies and gentlemen, now hitting the third baseman, number 9, Peter Foxe.
So that brings up the third baseman, Peter Foxe, batting .281. Just 18 for 64 in 20 games. No homers, 7 RBI. Batting left-handed against the right-handed Dorn. First pitch by Dorn is a pop fly down the left field line. Third baseman, shortstop, and left field are all converging, and the shortstop, Guzman, catches it a couple of steps still in foul territory from the foul line for the second out.
Now hitting the center fielder, number 8, Eric Komatsu.
So that'll bring up the center fielder, Eric Komatsu, batting .324, 3 home runs, 44 RBI. Hammerheads defensively, it's Paul Grant at first, Ernesto Manzanillo at second, Javier Guzman at short, and Jake Smolinski at third. First pitch by Johnny Dorn. Fastball inside corner, 0-1. In the outfield, it's Jeremy Sinan in left, Kevin Madison in center, and Thomas Hickman in right. The catcher is Jose Ceballos, and it's Johnny Dorn on the mound, whose 0-1 pitch misses down and in, and the count is 1-1. You know, if the radar readings are accurate, Johnny Dorn doesn't throw very hard because he's throwing fastballs that are showing up in the low to mid-80s, and that off-speed pitch just registered 65. Fastball hits the outside corner, and the count goes 1-2. Well, that shows 83, and it was certainly registering 90s for Kyle Heckathorn, so I've got to think that Johnny Dorn is what is diplomatically called a finesse pitcher. 1-2 pitch. Is going to be a bouncer down to the third baseman, Smolinski, to his left, goes on to the first baseman, Grand, for the final out. So after a very long top of the first, the Manatees go down quickly, 1-2-3 in the bottom of the first. And after one, it's the Hammerheads 3 and the Manatees nothing. Well, certainly not what we expected, and as we said before the game, the Hammerheads, by far, have been the worst team in the league all year long. And yet, for some reason, they've had the Manatees' number, having won 4 of the 6 games head-to-head so far. In the first half, both teams finished in last place in their respective divisions. The Manatees in the North finished 27-42, 13.5 behind the Dunedin Blue Jays, who are automatically seeded into the postseason playoffs. The Hammerheads last place in the South, 22-46, 20.5 games behind the Charlotte Stonecrabs, who are also seeded into the postseason. Here in the second half, the Manatees, a different team, 23-14, 3 games behind first place Daytona. The Cubs went on a hot streak of their own, winning 12 in a row before they finally lost last night. They're 26-11. The Tampa Yankees, 23-12. Are in second place, 2 games behind the Cubs, and then the Manatees. First half winner Dunedin, 16-20, 9.5 back. They're tied for 4th with the Lakeland Flying Tigers, who have the same record. And the Clearwater Threshers, a Phillies affiliate, bringing up the rear at 15-23 and 11.5 out. In the Florida State League South here in the second half, the Hammerheads once again in last place, 13-23. The Bradenton Marauders, a Pirates affiliate, in first place, 19-17, 1 game ahead of the Palm Beach Cardinals. All right, top of the second, Hammerheads trying to extend a 3-0 lead. Catcher Jose Ceballos leads it off. First pitch by Kyle Heckathorn. Fastball inside corner, strike 1. Ceballos will be followed by Kevin Madison at the top of the lineup and Javier Guzman. Heckathorn's 0-1 pitch. Fastball misses down and away, and the count goes 1-1. Next pitch by Heckathorn, check swing off the bat, and it bounces foul towards the Manatees dugout, and the count's 1-2. That pitch was up and in, and Ceballos really wasn't swinging so much as turning his head away to try to protect himself, and the ball hit the bat and ricocheted over towards the first base dugout. 1-2 pitch. There's a hard grounder just foul down the third baseline past Peter Fosse. 1-2 pitch. It's a hard line drive. It's going to fall in left field. Dies on the grass. Brock Kelgard into field. It gets the ball into the shortstop Prince. And Jose Ceballos has a leadoff single. We've seen a couple of balls now hit out to left field that as soon as they took the first bounce, they just died. And I don't know if that's because the grass is thick or it just has to do with the grass being baked by the sun. We've had a reasonable amount of rain in the last couple of days. It hasn't rained in 2 days, so it can't be that soggy out there. Top of the lineup. And Kevin Madison hits a fly ball into left center field. Kelgard has it for the first out. So Madison 0 for 2, flight out to center, flight out to left.
Now batting the shortstop, number 24, Javier Guzman.
And that'll bring up the shortstop, Javier Guzman, who singled his first time up and scored the first run of the game when he was forced in on a bases-loaded walk. First pitch by Heckathorn. It's a changeup swung on and missed. 0-1. Ceballos at first, 0 for 2 in stolen bases. So he's pretty unlikely to be going. Guzman batting left-handed, so if he pulls the ball, it would go to the right side anyway. And so long as you have Miranda holding on the runner, you keep that hole open. There's a changeup on the outside corner, and the count goes 0-2. Brewers hitting coordinator and interim infield umpire Darnell Cole standing behind Heckathorn on the second base side. Fastball framed by Sean McCraw, but it missed off the outside corner, and the count's 2-2. I'm going to correct myself and say 1-2. I thought it was 1-2, but the scoreboard says it's now 1-2. In any case, Coles is standing facing first base. This pitch is swung on, and it's going to be caught by Eric Komatsu in center field, who was really racing in. I thought maybe it was going to fall in, but Komatsu, who probably is the leading contender for the Manatees' most valuable player this year, was there in time to field it for an out. Returning to first is Ceballos. And with 2 out, that'll bring up the first baseman, Paul Gran, who grounded out to short in the first inning. Heckathorn's first pitch, line drive, and it's going to be bounced past the second baseman, Sanchez, into center field for a base hit. Took sort of a wicked hop, and I thought that Sanchez might be able to backhand that, but it bounced over him on a wicked hop into center field. So advancing on that base hit to second base is Ceballos. And Grant is on first with 2 down. And that'll bring up the left fielder, Jeremy Synan, S-Y-N-A-N, who walked his first time up. Three 0 Jupiter here in the top of the second with 2 down. They have runners on first and second with 2 outs. First pitch to Synan is a fly ball in the center field. Komatsu to his right will field it for the final out. 3 fly ball outs by the Hammerheads in the top of the second. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left. We go to the bottom of the second, and it's the Hammerheads 3, the Manatees nothing. I mentioned before the game began that I was out here last Friday night, and one of the things I did was I filmed a video walking tour of Space Coast Stadium. So for those of you out there in Cyberland listening on the internet who've never been to Space Coast Stadium and you're wondering what it looks like, you've heard me describe it many times on this webcast, but you haven't seen it in person. So if you go to www.spacecoastbaseball.com, the left-hand column says videos, and underneath that you'll see a link for July 30th to watch a video walking tour of the stadium. So you'll see some of the unique features that we've talked about over the year, such as the generous foul territory between third and first base, And then as you go down the foul lines here at horseshoe-shaped Space Coast Stadium, you'll see that it tapers down, that you only have a few feet between the foul lines, about 100 feet before the foul poles. We also show you both the bullpens, and you'll see how the home team's bullpen for the Manatees down the right field line is tucked behind the stands where you really can't see what's going on down there. The visiting team's bullpen is behind the left field fence and parallels the fence, and the fence appears to be only about 5 feet high. We also show you that very tall batter's eye in center field, which actually is in play. Just to the left of center field, it says 404 on the wall, and then there's a batter's eye that goes up maybe 25, 30 feet that has speakers in it. That is in play. To the right of that are 2 rows of fences. The lower level fence is in play. It has a yellow line across the top, and then the upper level fence actually is set back by a couple of feet. If the ball gets over that yellow fence into that separation, or if it hits the upper fence or goes over the upper fence, it's a home run. All right, bottom of the second, Angel Salome followed by Sergio Miranda and Scott Krieger. First pitch by Dorn is a fastball inside, ball 1. Salome, the designated hitter, batting .258, 2 home runs, 18 RBI. 1-0 pitch, fly ball into left center field. The center fielder, Madison, is there and has it for the first out. So with 1 down, that'll bring up Sergio Miranda. Sergio normally plays on the infield somewhere. Second base, third base, has played shortstop. But tonight, he's playing first base, which gives him a little bit of extra versatility. Batting left-handed against Dorn, swings and misses at a fastball 0-1. Sergio batting .283, 1 home run, 58 RBI. His .283 average now good enough for number 8 in the Florida State League. 0-1 pitch, swung on and it's fouled back into the net, 0-2. Sergio is one of the better contact hitters in the league. He strikes out once only every 10.87 plate appearances. That's the second best record in the league. 0-2 pitch is lined right past Dorn into center field for a base hit. So Miranda gets the first hit for Brevard. And with 1 out, that'll bring up the right fielder, Scott Krieger.
Now hitting the right fielder, number 47, Scott Krieger.
Krieger batting .247, 8 home runs, 23 RBI. Sergio Miranda at first, 10 for 14 in stolen bases, being held on by the first baseman, Gran. Dorn working from the stretch for the first time tonight. And his first pitch is a grounder down to third. Smolinski goes on to second for 1. Manzanillo on to Gran, double play. 5-4-3, and just like that, Manatees are done in the second. No runs, a hit, no errors, and the double play makes sure that there's nobody left. And after 2, it's the Hammerheads 3 and the Manatees nothing. I'm going to put the headset out the window for just a moment so I can turn on the lights here in the press box, and I will be right back. Hello, I'm back. Other games in the Florida State League tonight. Dunedin and Charlotte had a day game, and the Blue Jays won that game by a score of 5-0 over the Threshers. They are halfway through the game in Palm Beach between, well, I should correct myself, that last game, Dunedin and Charlotte, was the Dunedin Blue Jays and the Charlotte Stone Crabs. Clearwater is at Palm Beach. Those are the Threshers, and after 4.5, it's 3-0 Cardinals over the Threshers, who are a Philadelphia Phillies affiliate. Down the road in St. Lucie, the Mets out to a 3-0 lead after 2 against the Lakeland Flying Tigers. And then up the road in Daytona, it's about 75 miles to Jackie Robinson Park. The Bradenton Marauders are ahead of the Daytona Cubs by a score of 4-1. That's a matchup of two of the better teams in the Florida State League, with the Marauders in first place in the South Division and the Daytona Cubs in first place in the North Division. We mentioned earlier, Dunedin and Charlotte already done 5-0, and MILB.com is showing us they have a second game scheduled. So I'm guessing that first game, because I can't imagine you play a day game in the heat and humidity of daytime Florida during the summer. So that may have been the conclusion of a suspended game, and a regularly scheduled second game is a delayed start. And then Tampa at Fort Myers, 1-0 Yankees over the Miracle, going to the bottom of the third. All right, top of the third, Jupiter leading the Manatees by a score of 3-0. Ernesto Manzanillo leads it off against Kyle Heckathorn. First pitch by Kyle, fastball outside corner, strike one. Manzanillo singled in the first. Next pitch is a grounder down the first baseline, foul. 0-2. Kyle Heckathorn, we had a very impressive first two starts for the Manatees, struggling here in his third start, giving up 3 runs in the first and allowing 2 base runners on base hits in the second. 0-2 pitch to Manzanillo is a foul ball over on the third base side, and it falls just short of the aluminum overhang. Once again, if you go watch that video walking tour that I made on Friday, you can see what the aluminum overhangs look like on the third and first base sides of the stadium. This pitch is a fly ball in left center field. Kamatsu racing over, but Brock Kelgard has it in left center for the out. Kyle Heckathorn giving up a lot of fly balls tonight. His last 4 outs have been fly balls. And the first out of the game was a fly out to center field. So that's 5 fly outs out of the 7 outs that he's recorded. Jacob Smolinski at the plate, and the first pitch is a fastball, misses down low. 1-0. Smolinski walked in the first. Next pitch by Heckathorn, fastball high, and it counts 2-0. Radar has him at 93. .20 pitch is a pop foul over on the first base side that bounces off the front of the luxury suites. Counts 2-1. I neglected to give you the weather at the start of the game. It was 87, but with the 69% humidity, it felt like 97 degrees. 2-1 pitch, down and in, 3-1. The wind out of the east-northeast at 11 miles an hour. And according to weather.com, we had only a 10% chance of rain, but I am seeing some dark puffy clouds drifting over the stadium. Change-up taken for a called strike, and the count goes full, 3-2. Now, these are small clouds. It's not like a big cloud burst, but they are rain-filled clouds, the dark black clouds that you see. Now, there's a grounder down to third. Fosse loads up and throws across to first. Not in time. Darnell Coles, the emergency interim umpire, he's the Brewers' hitting coordinator, makes a close call that goes against his team. And quite frankly, I thought that Peter Fosse had beaten Smolinski to first. Sergio Miranda on the bag to take that throw, but Darnell Coles ruling that as an infield hit. So Smolinski is on first, and that brings up the right fielder Tom Hickman, who singled his first time up. There's a throw back to first, and Smolinski dives back in. Smolinski, 3 for 6 in stolen base attempts in 2010. First pitch to the plate. There goes Smolinski. Pitch swung on and missed. Throw down to second. Josh Prince applies the tag, and Darnell Coles calls him out. So Darnell Coles giveth, and Darnell Coles taketh away. That looked like it was a curveball that Hickman swung and missed at. And he misses the same pitch, and the count goes 0-2. Next pitch by Heckathorn is a grounder down to first. Sergio Miranda takes it to the bag himself for the final out. So best inning of the night so far for Kyle Heckathorn. No runs, one hit erased on a caught stealing. No errors and no one left. We go to the bottom of the third, and it's the Manatees trailing the Hammerheads by a score of 3-0. Again, if you're coming in late and you're wondering about Darnell Coles, who's the infield umpire, here's what happened. In the first inning, Roberto Medina was the home plate umpire, and Matt Moisan, M-O-I-S-A-N, was the infield umpire, with Brett Hayes at the plate. Hayes swung and fouled a pitch right back into Medina's face that apparently either jarred the mask or somehow got past the mask. After an extensive examination by Manatees trainer Tommy Craig, Medina left the game, and Moisan put on the tools to umpire behind home plate. And under the emergency rules of organized baseball, manager Bob Missick for the Manatees and manager Ron Hassey for the Hammerheads got together, and they decided to choose the Milwaukee Brewers roving hitting coordinator Darnell Coles, who happened to be in town, to act as an emergency infield umpire. Now, if you're not familiar with what a rover is, rover short for a roving coordinator, a roving instructor. Every organization, in addition to their minor league managers and coaches, has roving instructors who are specialists in pitching, hitting, defense, infield, and they spend a good amount of their time every month going to the various minor league affiliates and doing specialized instruction. And that's what Darnell Coles was doing here in town to work with the Manatees hitters. Now he's pressed into service as an infield umpire. Sean McCraw leads it off in the bottom of the third, and Johnny Dorn leads it off with a called strike. McCraw, 14 for 47. That works out to 298. No homer, 6 RBI. Next pitch by Dorn. Fastball. Actually, it looked like maybe it had a wrinkle in it. It kind of looked like a fastball, but it had some movement on it. The radar said 76, and as we said, we've seen of Dorn so far, he's definitely a soft thrower. His velocity seems to top out around 83. There's a changeup off the outside corner. The count goes 1-2. And talking about rovers and coordinators, you talk to any pitching coordinator or pitching coach in professional ball. There's a base hit down the line. Fair ball. Rounds first, heading for second is Sean McCraw as the left fielder Sinan gets the ball in. I don't know about that. That looked like maybe that was an inch or two foul. But in any case, it goes into the book as a leadoff double for Sean McCraw.
Ladies and gentlemen, now hitting the left fielder, number 33, Brock Kelgard.
So that'll bring up the left fielder, Brock Kelgard. Brock, batting .244, leads the team in home runs with 12. Second in doubles with 21. Has 58 RBI. But he also leads the league in strikeouts with 135 and 377 at-bats. There's going to be a base hit in the left center field. Coming around third is Sean McCraw. He's held up by Bob Missick. So it's runners at the corners with nobody out. If you hear me mute the sound, it's because I'm clearing my throat. Seem to have a bit of a frog tonight.
Now hitting the second baseman, number 30, Juan Sanchez.
So with runners at the corners and nobody out, that'll bring up second baseman Juan Sanchez, batting .235 with 1 homer, 16 RBI. Juan had a career night back on July 28th when he went 5 for 5. Carried that into his first at-bat against St. Lucie, where he got a hit to make it 6 for 6. First pitch misses away, and the count's 1-0. Sanchez batting right-handed, and the 1-0 pitch gets through the wickets of the catcher, Ceballos. Advancing to second on the pass ball is Brock Kilgard. Holding at third is Sean McCraw. Now, I can't tell you for 100% sure that that was a pass ball versus a wild pitch, because they do not make the official score rulings available here in the press box and the scoreboard. If you watch that walking tour video I made, you'll see it's fairly rudimentary, so they don't tell us pass ball or wild pitch. But I would guess if that got through the catcher's legs, it's probably a pass ball. Next pitch is down and in, and the count goes 3-0. On deck, top of the lineup, Josh Prince. Sanchez represents the tying run, although he has only 1 dinger this year. And he has a slugging percentage of just .300. 3-0 pitch, fastball hits the outside corner, 3-1. Dorn comes set, and the 3-1 pitch swung on. It's a hard grounder down to the third baseman, Smolinski, who knocks it down, looks at the plate, realizes he doesn't have a chance there, so he goes on to first to retire Sanchez. 5-3. Scoring is Sean McCraw on the fielder's choice, and holding at second is Brock Kilgard.
Top of the order, the shortstop, number 17, Josh Prince.
So we go back to the top of the order to shortstop Josh Prince, who grounded out to short his first time up. Manatees on the board here in the bottom of the third. They now trail 3-1. Dorn, working from the stretch, looks back at Kilgard. First pitch blocked by McCraw, who was down in the dirt and away. 1-0. Prince, very little power as well. He has a slugging percentage of just .288. That's actually lower than his on-base percentage, which is .293. He's in the lineup because he steals bases, 37 for 45. 1-0 pitch. Swung on and fouled back into the net, and the count's 1-1. 337 at-bats coming to this game for Josh. 11 doubles, 1 triple, 1 home run. But the Manatees, who've been also-rans in the league when it comes to power this year, they chip away. They have a lot of batters who make contact. 1-1 pitch. Down and in, and the count goes 2-1. Prince has struck out 70 times with those 337 at-bats. 2-1 pitch.
Here's Robinson Cano. Alex is now 0 for his last 16 and 3 for his last 32. Hot shot, and caught there by Hill.
If you just picked up some play-by-play from another game, that was my error on the computer. Time called by Josh Prince at short. As we've said before, this is a very modest operation, a volunteer effort, and so it's just basically a headset plugged into a laptop. Fastball misses down and away, and the count goes full, 3-2. Don't have a second mic for a crowd mic. Don't have multiple devices for looking up information on the internet or scores. It's all being done through a laptop. But it is amazing when you think about what you can do with technology these days, that with a laptop and a cheap little gaming headset that you can broadcast to the world. There's a fly ball up the alley in left center field. It's going to fall for a base hit. Rounding third, coming in to score is Kelgard. The throw not in time. It gets away from the catcher, Ceballos, and owing to second on the throw is Josh Prince, and the Manatees now trail 3-2. So Kelgard scores on the single, and Prince advances to second on the throw. So now the deficit is cut to 3-2, and that'll bring up Peter Foxe, who popped out to short in the first. Foxe, a left-handed batter, against the soft-tossing Dorn, who looks back at Prince at second. And the first pitch, fastball misses away, 1-0. Next pitch is fouled back into the net. The count goes 1-1. If you've listened to prior webcasts, you know that I run another website, futureangels.com, that covers the Angels minor leagues. I've done that for many years, going back to 1998. And then, quite frankly, I'm kind of sneaking a peek at the Angels box score tonight because a friend of mine, Peter Borges, is making his major league debut in center field for the Angels tonight. Next pitch is taken low, and the count goes 2-1. Peter is batting ninth. He's 0 for 2 in center field, and the Angels consider him to be such a stellar defensive center fielder that Torrey Hunter has moved into right field tonight, Gold Glove winning center fielder for the Angels. Pete's father actually played in the Brewers system. There's a grounder down to second. Manzanilla will go over to first for the second out. Advancing to third on the play is Josh Prince. So that'll bring up center fielder Eric Kamatsu, who grounded to third his first time up. Eric starting to show up in the top leaders lists in the Florida State League. His batting average is .324, a second to Stephen Vogt of the Charlotte Stonecrabs at .336. He's second in hits. He has 121. DJ LeMahieu with Daytona has 125. He's second in on-base percentage at .404. First pitch is a line drive opposite way down the left field line. Base hit. The game's going to be tied as Prince come in. Kamatsu takes a wide turn at first but heads back to the bag, and we're tied 3-3. Eric also number 2 in the league and runs scored at 64. Tied for second in walks at 48. Confab at the mound between pitcher Johnny Dorn, catcher Jose Ceballos, and Jupiter pitching coach Steve Doc Watson. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter for the Manatees, Angel Salome. The designated hitter flied out to center to start the second.
Ladies and gentlemen, now hitting the designated hitter, number 16, Angel Salome.
Salome, if you don't know his story, actually ended last year in the major leagues with the Brewers and was considered a possibility to join the Brewers on the big league roster this year, although more likely he was going to go back to AAA as a catcher. First pitch is high, 1-0. He was on the catching depth chart for the Brewers behind Jonathan Lucroy. And then in spring training, his wife was going through a difficult pregnancy, and he took an emergency leave of absence. 1-0 pitch. Misses away and the count's 2-0. Komatsu at first, 21 for 28 stolen bases. In any case, when Salome finally came back, he told the Brewers he wasn't mentally capable to catch anymore. Swings and hits it the opposite way in a right field for a base hit. Hickman fields it, rounding second and stopping is Komatsu. That's the fifth hit of the inning for the Manatees. And that'll bring up Sergio Miranda, who singled in the second. In any case, Salome said, mentally, I'm just not ready to catch anymore. And he wound up finding himself reassigned to Double-A and then actually here to Brevard. He said, well, I want to be an outfielder now. And the Brewers really haven't complied with that request, nor do they have to. First pitch down and in, ball one. Salome listed at 5'7" and 199. Well, let's face it, 200 pounds. Not built like a typical outfielder. And he's seen a couple of games in right field, but he's mostly been the designated hitter. 1-0 pitch. Swung on, and Miranda gets just a piece of it. I think it bounced off of his foot. And for the Miranda family listening down in Puerto Rico, he's grimacing a little bit. He's stepping on his left foot, trying to get the bees out of it, but he's just fine. In any case, Salome has been mostly a designated hitter, and quite frankly, being affiliated with a National League franchise, you have to wonder what future he has if he won't catch anymore, and physically he's not gifted enough to play in the Major League outfield. 1-1 pitch. It's hit the opposite way down the left field line. Is it going to stay fair? No, it bounces foul up against the railing, and the count goes 1-2. Now, both the Brewers and the Jupiter Hammerheads, of course, are National League teams. And I've always wondered why it is in these minor league contests where you have two National League teams facing each other that they don't just dispose of the designated hitter and let the pitchers bat, because if they ever make it to the big leagues, well, they're going to have to hit. Well, they're going to have to bat. I don't know if they're going to hit. Here's a line drive into left field for a base hit. Coming around third, trying to score is Komatsu. The throw is late to the plate. Stopping at second is Salome, and the Manatees lead 4-3. Well, we said the Manatees don't have a lot of power, but they do peck you to death, and that's what's happened in this inning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 base hits, 5 singles and a double. So that'll bring up the ninth hitter in the inning, Scott Krieger, who grounded into a double play to end the second. Jupiter now has someone warming up down in their bullpen that parallels the left field line. First pitch by Dorn, breaking ball, misses away, 1-0. 4 runs on the board for the Manatees here in the bottom of the third to take a 4-3 lead. Angel Salome at second, Sergio Miranda at first, 2 down. Krieger has 8 home runs. .10 pitch is fouled back into the net, and the count goes 1-1. It's definitely been a different night. We've seen the home umpire leave. We've seen Kyle Heckathorn, who had the early markings of an ace, struggle in the first, but the Manatees have come back, take a 4-3 lead. It's swung on, and it's a pop fly into short right field. Going out to second base of Manzanillo. He's called off by the right fielder Hickman for the final out. But the Manatees put 4 runs on the board on 6 hits, no errors, and 2 left. And after 3, the Manatees now lead the Jupiter Hammerheads by a score of 4-3. We'll give you some Major League scores while we wait to go to the top of the 4th. In Baltimore, the Angels are leading the Orioles by a score of 2-1. And as I said, I've got some friends in that game with Peter Borges making his big league debut. And Trevor Bell, who was an Angels first-round draft pick a couple of years ago, he's on the mound for the Angels, and he's allowed only 1 run on 4 hits in 5 innings. If you go over to my other site, futureangels.com, you go in the video gallery, you'll see video clips of Peter Borges and Trevor Bell. Okay, I've trotted out my Halo boy for the night, so I'll try to rein it in. Other American League scores, they've gone 4 in Detroit. The Tigers leading the White Sox 5-0. The Yankees at home against the Blue Jays, and Toronto has a 4-2 lead in the bottom of the 5th. At Fenway Park in Boston, the Red Sox leading the Cleveland Indians by a score of 2-1 in the bottom of the 4th. Across the state at Tampa Bay, the Rays leading the Minnesota Twins by a score of 3-2 in the bottom of the 4th. Scheduled later tonight, 7:05 Pacific time, Kansas City Royals are at the Oakland A's. And at 7:10 Pacific time, the Texas Rangers are at the Seattle Mariners. That Chicago-Detroit game looks like they began by finishing a game postponed from May 17, and the final score on that one was the White Sox 12 and the Tigers 2. We'll work at National League scores here as we go to the top of the 4th, with the Manatees leading 4-3. Brett Hayes will lead it off, followed by Jose Ceballos, and then back to the top of the lineup in Kevin Madison. Kyle Heckathorn into his 4th inning of work, and his first pitch, fastball off the outside corner, 1-0. Hayes was at the plate, and he was the one who fouled the pitch back into the mask of the home plate umpire, Roberto Medina, who had to leave the game. Next pitch by Heckathorn is inside, and the count goes 2-0. After a delay of, maybe 15-20 minutes, the infield umpire, Matt Moisen, moved behind the plate, and the Milwaukee Brewers' roving hitting coordinator, Darnell Coles, was pressed into emergency service as the infield umpire. Another fastball misses away, and the count goes 3-0. On deck is Jose Ceballos. 3-0 pitch. Fastball hits the outside corner, strike 1. Well, Heckathorn gave up 3 runs in the top of the 1st. The Manatees rallied for 4 in the bottom of the 3rd to give him the lead. But here he is struggling again. 3-1 pitch. Swung on and fouled down off of the foot of Hayes, and the count goes full, 3-2. You would think that Heckathorn would have no problem with the Hammerheads, because Jupiter is the worst hitting team in the league. 3-2 pitch, high ball 4. Leadoff walk for Brett Hayes. So that brings up the catcher, Jose Ceballos, who singled first time up. Jupiter's, now this is I've said many times, this is a pitcher-friendly league, but Jupiter's team batting average is .228. The league average is .254. .228 team batting average. First pitch is Ceballos. He shows bunt, and the pitch is in on his hands. He pops it high and foul over towards the Manatees dugout, and the count goes 0-1. So their .228 team batting average, last in the league. They have only 36 home runs in 104 games. Hayes leads off at first. Ceballos shows bunt again, and he bunts this one hard shot up the first baseline, but it goes foul before Sergio Miranda can get to it. So the count goes 0-2. Now contrast Jupiter's offense numbers with the Manatees. I mean, they're by no means the hitting studs of the league. They're 8th in the league in batting average at .255. They have 40 home runs, only 4 more than Jupiter. But far more aggressive on the base paths. 0-2 pitch. Swung on, and it's a grounder down the third. Fatse to his left, bobbles, goes to the second baseman for one, on to first, not in time. So Hayes is erased 5-4. Ceballos on first on a fielder's choice. You go back to the top of the lineup to Kevin Madison, who's flied out twice. Comparing these two teams' offenses, the Manatees far more aggressive on the base paths than Jupiter. Jupiter has been caught 44 times stealing bases, as have the Manatees. But Jupiter's stolen 95 bases, and the Manatees 118. First pitch by Heckathorn, swung on and missed, 0-1. National League scores. They're warming up in Pittsburgh between the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Top of the fifth in Atlanta, the Mets and the Braves tied 1-1. Next pitch by Heckathorn, fastball misses, and the count goes 1-1. Top of the fifth, down in Miami, the Philadelphia Phillies leading the Marlins by a score of 5-1. Marlins, the parent club of the Hammerheads. Next pitch by Heckathorn, fastball way off the plate, and the count goes 2-1. Bottom of the first at Wrigley Field in Chicago, the Cubs and the Brewers tied 1-1. The Brewers, of course, the parent club of the Brevard County Manatees. Bottom of the first in St. Louis, and the Cardinals leading the Astros 1-0 on a home run by Rasmus. There's a grounder down to second. Prince on to short for one, on to first, not in time. Actually, that was not Prince. That was the second baseman, Juan Sanchez, who went on to the shortstop, Josh Prince, to retire Ceballos. But the relay throw not in time to get Madison, who leads the league in stolen bases. So Madison on first with two down, and shortstop Javier Guzman comes up. He's singled and fly to center. We mentioned earlier Madison batting just 218 coming into the game, but leads the league in stolen bases, 38 for 46. There he goes. First pitch is a pitch out. Throw back to first, not in time. They had him, no doubt about it. They had him. But Sean McCraw hesitated for some reason. Sergio Miranda was right there with the glove up saying, throw it to me. But it was just not fast enough to get Madison. But they had him dead to rights. And he just reversed course and dove back in. Heckathorn steps off the rubber, and going back into first is Madison. Guzman bats left-handed, so he could take advantage of that hole on the right side as Miranda has to hold on the runner. He's not going, and the next pitch is a fastball outside, and it counts 2-0. Well, Kyle is struggling tonight. He just does not have his control. For whatever reason, it's not there tonight, and he is struggling, and that's part of the maturation of any pitcher, is how to learn how to pitch on nights when you don't have your stuff. Next pitch is down and in, rolls away from McCraw, but not far enough for Madison to advance, and the count goes 3-0. In his first two games here with the Manatees, covering 13 innings, he walked just 2. And earlier in the year, Wisconsin, 23 walks in 85 innings, so wildness is not normal for him. Fastball misses way outside, ball 4. So Guzman on first. Madison advances to second. Time call is pitching coach Fred Dabney comes out. That's the 4th walk for Heckathorn, and we're only 2 outs into the top of the 4th. Other games in the National League, they're warming up in Denver, the Giants and the Rockies. And at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time, the Washington Nationals in Phoenix to play the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think Phoenix is on California or Pacific Coast time this time of year, so that would be 6:40 Arizona time, 9:40 here on the East Coast. And then in Chavez Ravine at 7 p.m. Pacific time, the Padres and the Dodgers. Okay, the first baseman, Paul Grant, at the plate. Grounded to short and singled. There goes the runner to third. Not even an attempt to get Madison. That'll be his 39th stolen base of the year to lead the league. McCraw, when he took the pitch, which missed for a ball, he got up and was ready to throw down to first, trying to get Guzman napping, hoping that maybe a double steal was on, or maybe Guzman was going to wander off and they could catch him asleep and get out of this inning cheaply. But now there are runners at first and third, and Madison represents the tying run. Fake throw to third, turns and looks at first, and of course it didn't work. That works about maybe once a year, if you're lucky. 1-0 pitch. Swung on. It's a hard grounder down to Josh Prince at short. Flips to Sanchez at second for the final out. No runs, no hits, a couple of walks, no errors, and 2 left. We go to the bottom of the fourth. The Manatees lead the Hammerheads 4-3. We mentioned at the beginning of the webcast that it's Beatles Appreciation Night here at Space Coast Stadium. My wife very much is a Beatles aficionado and knows a lot about the history and all the legends of what the Beatles accomplished. Last week, PBS aired a special that was videotaped, I believe, last May in the White House, where Sir Paul McCartney led a concert that was performed for President Barack Obama. There were several guest performers, including Faith Hill, the Jonas Brothers, Stevie Wonder, and many others. All the songs that were performed were songs composed by Paul McCartney. And it's been really amazing to see the renaissance of Beatlemania in the last couple of years. I credit that to the 2007 film that came out, Across the Universe, which was basically a movie about two lovers in the 1960s that was semi-musical that told a story using all Beatles music. It got absolutely no publicity at all and bombed at the box office, but became a cult hit among the college crowd when it went to DVD. Bottom of the fourth, 4-3 Manatees. Sean McCraw will lead it off, followed by Brock Hilgard and Juan Sanchez. In any case, if you haven't seen Across the Universe, if you're a Beatles fan or you just enjoy a good movie with a lot of music in it and like something different, I definitely suggest you rent Across the Universe. Big favorite in my household, and any Beatles fan we show it to falls in love with it. One-0 pitch by Johnny Dorn. Fastball misses away and the count goes 2-0. But ever since Across the Universe came out, there's been such a renaissance of interest in Beatles music and concerts by Paul McCartney. Pitches a fly ball into left center field, giving ground as left fielder Sinan in the alley for the first out. So with one down, that'll bring up Brock Hilgard, who singled in the third. Ringo Starr, the only other surviving Beatle, he also tours as well, and he does write and he does release albums. He has what he calls an all-star band that performs from time to time, other famous rock stars from the 60s and 70s. First pitch is inside, ball one. Before we moved here to Florida from California, we went and saw Ringo Starr's all-star band at the Greek Theater in Griffith Park in Los Angeles. 1-0 pitch. Outside corner, 1-1. I'll just be diplomatic and say that when it comes to singing, Ringo's a great drummer. 1-1 pitch. Misses off the outside corner, 2-1. If you never had a chance to see the Beatles in person, or too young for that, there are many tribute bands out there. 2-1 pitch. Line drive into left field for a base hit. The left fielder Sinan fields it and gets the ball back into the shortstop Guzman. So Brock Kelgard's 2 for 2. And that'll bring up second baseman Juan Sanchez, who grounded to third his first time up. Of the several tribute bands that are out there, the best one, in my opinion, is the Fab Four. And you can check them out at their website at www.thefab4.com, THEFABFOUR.com. First pitch to Juan is a grounder right back to the mound. Doran goes to the shortstop, Guzman for 1, on to first, not in time. So Kelgard has erased 1-6. Sanchez on first on the fielder's choice, and with 2 down, we go to the top of the lineup. It's Josh Prince. Josh 1 for 2, grounded to short and singled. I've seen the Fab Four perform a couple of times. Once was in Las Vegas, and they are absolutely incredible. Their show is the best. And if you go to their website, thefab4.com, you can see where they perform. They're based in Southern California, and so a lot of their shows are in that area, but they do tour. And they are so accurate. They put so much effort into researching detail and accuracy that they get used to substitute for the Beatles in documentaries, and I saw there's a remake of Yellow Submarine that's about to start filming, and at the end, they are going to appear as the Beatles. First pitch is fouled back into the net, 0-1. Now, those of you who are Monty Python fans might be aware of that other group, the Prefab Four, known as the Ruttles, R-U-T-L-E-S. And you really can't be a Beatles fan unless you know about the Ruttles. The snap throw back to first, and diving back in is Sanchez. The Ruttles began life as the idea of Monty Python member Eric Idle in the mid-'70s. 0-1 pitch taken for a strike, and the count's 0-2. Prince showed bunt but pulled the bat back. Eric Idle was due to appear on Saturday Night Live, and he brought this footage he did, claiming that he had footage of the Beatles. In reality, it was this fake band called the Ruttles, who were singing songs that kind of sounded like Beatles music, but the lyrics were off. 0-2 pitch is fouled back into the net, and the count remains 0-2. Well, Saturday Night Live executive producer Lorne Michaels liked the idea so much that he was able to convince NBC to commission a 90-minute Ruttles mockumentary called All You Need Is Cash, the history of the Prefab Four. 0-2 pitch is a line drive into left field for a base hit. Sinan fields it on a couple of hops. Stopping at second is Sanchez on the single by Josh Prince, who's now 2 for 3. So that brings up Peter Fotze, who's popped out to short and grounded to second. You can find the Ruttles mockumentary, All You Need Is Cash, out on DVD. And you can also view their fake website at www.ruttles.org. That's RUTLES.org. Fastball taken for a strike, 0-1. Now, to tie this all together, I mentioned the reenactment group, the Fab Four. Eric Idle, a couple of years ago, got the idea to do a touring musical called Ruttlemania. Time called at home by Fatse as Dorn was taking his time looking back at Sanchez at second. Oh, 1 pitch is a hard grounder, one hop to the second baseman Manzanillo, who goes on to first for the final out. So no runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left. And after 4, it's 4-3 Manatees. So in any case, concluding the chat about the Ruddles, it's my understanding that Beatles fans love the Ruddles so much that you go to Beatles conventions, and no Beatles convention is complete without one of the Prefab Four performing. In any case, Eric Idle wanted to do a touring musical called Ruddlemania, and he hired the Fab Four, the Beatles reenactment group, to play the Prefab Four, which creates the most bizarre crossover you can possibly think of. But if you're looking for somebody who knows how to play fake Beatles really well, there's nobody better than the Fab Four group. So my wife and I went to go see that, and we had already seen the Fab Four as the Fab Four, and now we got to see them as the Prefab Four, which is very spooky. And then, quite frankly, I think by the end of the show, they were just doing their regular Beatles act because the line had been blurred so much, you really couldn't tell the difference. Eric Idle once said that he was very close to George Harrison because George Harrison was actually an investor in that mockumentary project in the 70s. So Eric said that he and the actor's name, who is the composer of the Ruddles music, I can't remember his name right now. He actually plays the John Lennon character in the mockumentary. But in any case, those two were actually over at George Harrison's house, and Ringo Starr was there, and he said that George and Ringo actually performed the Ruddles music for him, and he just said that was the most incredible thing to see two of the surviving Beatles playing Ruddles music, and they collectively decided that if you mix the Beatles with the Ruddles, the band would be called the Brutals, and that was probably right. All right, top of the 5th, Manatees trying to hold on to a 4-3 lead. Paul Grant leading it off for the Hammerheads, followed by Jeremy Sinan and Ernesto Manzanillo. First pitch misses in, 1-0. Kyle Heckathorn struggling all night long, but he has the lead. 1-0 pitch. Fastball misses down low, and the count's 2-0. We're seeing a migration now on the walkway around the stands. All the kids are heading down the left field line at the end of the 5th inning. They open the center field gate, and everybody can run out on the field. Hard grounder and a couple of hops down to Sanchez at second. Goes on to Miranda at first for the out. If you go to my site at spacecoastbaseball.com, and there's a video under the videos column that says look at offense and other highlights from the July 30th game. One of the things you'll see in that is what happens after the bottom of the 5th here. It's called Who Lets the Dogs Out. They open the center field gate, and fans can run on the field. First pitch to Sinan is fouled back into the net, 0-1. Sinan walked and fly to center. It's mostly children, but you do get some adults and a few teenagers out there. And on small nights like tonight, most of the time they go to the third base gate. Next pitch is low and in, and the count's 1-1. Last Friday night, with a larger crowd, they split into two, with some going to third and some going to first. The gates to get back into the stands are at the far ends of both dugouts. 1-1 pitch. Fastball way away, and the count's 2-1. Kyle just does not have his release point tonight. 2-1 pitch. Swung on, and it's a grounder, a one hop down to Sanchez at second, goes on to Miranda at first, 2 down. So with 2 down, that'll bring up the third baseman, Jacob Selinsky, who walked and grounded out. Next pitch misses and the count goes 2-0. Well, I was behind a batter here. I failed to write down the final out of the last inning by Graham. So Steinen led off this inning by grounding out to second, then Manzanilla grounded out to second. And the next pitch to Smolinski is inside, and the count goes 3-0. The 3-0 pitch. Inside corner, strike one. Well, as I've said many times, I'm not a professional broadcaster. We're doing this just to get some of the Manatees games out there for you fans. So you pay what you get for, and you don't pay anything. There's a grounder down to Sanchez, so he'll record all three outs in this inning, 4-3. 1, 2, 3. The easiest inning of the night so far for Kyle Heckathorn. We go to the bottom of the fifth with the score: the Manatees 4, the Manatees 3. This is the final game of the current homestand for the Manatees. After tonight, they go on the road to Bradenton. The Marauders are the Florida State League affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. They'll be there tomorrow night, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The first three games at 7 p.m. and the Saturday game at 6 p.m. in Bradenton. Then the Manatees move on to Dunedin to play the Blue Jays, who won the first half. Sunday night game is at 5 o'clock, and then the Monday and Tuesday games are at 7 p.m. The Manatees are off on Wednesday, then Thursday they'll probably bust back over to play a one-game road series against the Lakeland Flying Tigers, Thursday night the 12th at 7 p.m. Then they return home for a 5-game series. The first two are against Lakeland starting on, Friday the 13th at 7:05. And then on Saturday night the 14th at 7:05. Then the 15th, 16th, and 17th against the Dunedin Blue Jays. That Sunday game, blessedly, is at 6:05 p.m., so we're not playing in the daylight and the heat and humidity. 16th and 17th, Monday and Tuesday, against Dunedin at 7:05. And that August 17th game against Dunedin to close out that homestand will be our next webcast. All right, Eric Camacho leads it off for the Manatees in the bottom of the fifth, grounded to third and singled. Swings at the first pitch and pops it foul over to our left, and it bounces in the seats, 0-1. If you watch that video documentary on SpaceCoastBaseball.com under videos that says Take the Walking Tour, you'll see what it looks like here around the press box. Fastball misses down low, 1-1. And you'll see that as it extends out from the press box down the lines, that it's all these navy blue box seats, except for the upper section at both ends, there's aluminum bleachers. There's an off-speed pitch down low, and the count's 2-1. Next pitch is a line drive right at the shortstop Guzman for the out.
All right, now hitting the designated hitter, number 16, Angel Salome.
So with one out, that brings up the DH, Angel Salome, fly to center and single. I was saying earlier, when two National League teams meet in the minors, I always wonder why it is that they still use the DH, because their pitchers are going to have to bat if they make it to the big leagues. And I could understand the desire to get these hitters more at-bats, as well as to give them a day off, in some senses, by reducing them to DH. First pitch hits the outside corner with a changeup, 0-1. But at the same time, if it was me, I'd want my pitchers to bat. There's a fastball off the outside corner, and it's 1-1. The DH came about in the early 70s in an attempt to juice the offense in Major League Baseball, of course, to attract more customers. There's an off-speed pitch that's high, and the count's 2-1. The American League went to the DH, while the National League did not and has not to this day. But there's no requirement that you use the DH. Swung on and missed on a fastball, and the count goes 2-2. The manager has the option to use the DH, but he does not have to. Two-two pitch. It's a hard grounder down to third. It goes off the chest of Smolinski behind him, and safe at first is Angel Salome, and I'm going to assume that's going to be an error. Nope, it's ruled a hit. Well, that was kind of generous. Well, and maybe it's due to a promotion, quite frankly, because the official scorer sits next to the PA announcer, and they have a promotion that on the 10th hit, everybody in the stands gets a free ticket to go bowling. So anyway, it's a generous single with 1 out, and Sergio Miranda swings and grounds it foul up the first baseline, 0-1. Sergio has singled twice, getting a rare start at first base tonight. Normally he's at second or third. Salome at first, an ex-catcher, so probably not a threat to go. Next pitch is swung on and laced foul over on the left side. The count goes 0-2. So I was about to say earlier, if you watch that video walking tour, you can see what it looks like here around the press box, and you can see the two levels of the stands, including the bleachers down the lines. But you'll see that the walkway that separates the two levels, the lower level is about 1/3 of the way down, separated from the upper 2/3. There's a fly ball into center field, and Madison is there in left center field for the out.
Now hitting, the right fielder, number 47, Scott Krieger.
So with 2 down, that'll bring up right fielder Scott Krieger, who grounded into a double play to end the second and flied out to right in the third. The box seats here were replaced a couple of years ago, so they are in excellent condition. First pitch is a hard grounder down to Smolinski at third. Goes across the diamond to Gran at first for the final out. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 left. And as I let the dogs out in center field, it's the Manatees 4 and the Hammerheads 3. If you're coming in late and missed the events in the first inning, the home plate umpire, Roberto Medina, had to leave the game. He took a full swing foul right in the face mask, and apparently got his bell rung to the point that the trainer for the Manatees, Tommy Craig, assisted him off the field. So we had a delay of about maybe 15 minutes, I would guess, while the infield umpire, Matt Moisan, M-O-I-S-A-N, put on his gear to umpire behind home plate. And lacking a second umpire under baseball rules, the two managers jointly chose an interim emergency umpire, and they went with Darnell Coles, who is the roving hitting coordinator for the Milwaukee Brewers. So between every half inning, Coles comes down to talk to the other umpire, the professional umpire, Moisan. And I'm sure that Darnell is getting as many pointers as he can. Kyle Heckathorn's night is over. Let's see who the new pitcher is.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a pitching change for the Manatees. Now pitching for your Brevard County Manatees, number 18,
It's going to be number 18, Trey Watton. Watton making his 26th appearance of the year. He's made 8 starts this year, the rest of them all in relief. A 2-6 record, a 3.87 ERA, 74 in the third innings, 76 hits, 45 strikeouts, and 31 walks. So the night is over for Kyle Heckathorn, who's struggled mightily, but goes 5 innings, giving up 3 runs on 6 hits. Struck out 1 batter and walked 1, 2, 3, 4. So a most uncharacteristic night for Kyle Heckathorn, and if the Heckathorn family is out there listening, I'm hoping it was just an off night and nothing more serious than that.
Leading off this inning for the Hammerheads, right fielder, number 16, Tom Hickman.
Top of the 6th, Tom Hickman will lead it off, followed by Brett Hayes and Jose Ceballos, the bottom 3 in the order. Watton throws right-handed. He's listed at 6'3", 180. 23 years old and change, and the first pitch misses away, 1-0. Trey was born December 16, 1986. .10 pitch misses down and away, and the count goes 2-0. The next pitch is swung on. It's a hard grounder into right field for a base hit. Scott Krieger comes in to get the ball. And so Tom Hickman leads it off with a single here in the 6th. So that'll bring up the DH, Brett Hayes, who struck out and walked. Watton began his Brewers career in 2008 when he was assigned to the rookie-level Helena Brewers in the Pioneer League. 15 games, 10 starts. He was 3-2 with a 5.40 ERA. First pitch is swung on, and it's a grounder down the shortstop. Prince takes a bad hop and goes into left field. Stopping at second is Hickman. Now let's see if that's ruled a hit or an error. It took a very bad hop on the infield, and this time of year, the field will start to get some abuse. And as I was saying earlier, the seats here were replaced a couple of years ago, but there was recently an article in the paper that the Nationals, who are the landlord here, or not the landlord, they're actually subleasing to the Manatees. Here's a bunt by the batter, who throws it, and the ball goes back to Watton, who goes over to third. The ball gets past him and goes down the left field line. The runner and the third baseman got tangled up. And a reminder that the infield umpire is not a professional umpire. It's Darnell Coles, who is pointing to the home plate umpire, Matt Moyson, who is arguing with the hitting coach, who is coaching third, Bobby Bell. Now coming out is the manager, Ron Hasse. Well, I don't want to use profanity on the air, but this is a cluster. In any case, it looks like Hayes reached on an error, by the way, on Josh Prince. So he was on first. Hickman advanced to second on the error. Then Ceballos showed a bunt. The bunt went back to Trey Watton, who whirled and threw to the third baseman, Fatse. The throw was not in time, and it got past Fatse, but not far enough for anybody to advance. Now, Fatse and Hickman got tangled up in each other, and I think the discussion here was some degree of interference. Meanwhile, trainer Tommy Craig is taking a look at Peter Fatse on the left hand, which of course is his glove hand, and he may have been spiked there or maybe twisted his hand a little bit. It doesn't look like he's coming out. In any case, there's no error charge there. There's no hit. It appears it'll just go as a fielder's choice. the fielder chose to throw to third, he just wasn't in time. So that means the bases will be loaded with Hickman on third, Hayes on second, and Ceballos on first. Nobody out. And we go back to the top of the lineup to Kevin Matheson. Darnell Coles, the Brewers' roving hitting coordinator, who's acting as the emergency infield umpire, he's standing there over on the grass about halfway between third and the mound in his best Jack Benny impression, with his left hand up to his mouth, his elbow supported by his right arm. Jack Benny would always say, well. But he knows that the decision that's being made now is way beyond his pay grade. Matt Moisen umpiring now behind home plate, having a lengthy discussion with Ron Hasse about the situation. And I think Hasse is trying to get a run in here to argue that Fosse somehow interfered and kept Hickman from scoring. The fans getting a little restless. This is a lengthy debate, and quite honestly, I have to kind of agree with them that, you know what, the situation is what it is. We have one umpire who's a professional. We have one emergency umpire, and the professional umpire can't be everywhere at once. So just accept the situation for what it is and move on. Meanwhile, while they chat ad nauseum, once again, a reminder, if you want to email me, the email address is home@spacecoastbaseball.com. That's home@spacecoastbaseball.com. Or go to the homepage at www.spacecoastbaseball.com and click where it says, click here to contact spacecoastbaseball.com. Always love to hear who's out there, whether it's the players' parents. I know they're very dedicated in listening. Manatees fans, and I know there's definitely a Brewers fan contingent out there from the fan sites, Brew Crew Ball and BrewerFan.net. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Jupiter Hammerheads fans out there too, because they do not have a broadcast team here tonight. I don't know whether they have a home team crew or not. If you go to the Minor League Baseball webpage and you click on multimedia audio and select game day, you'll see that they list which team's webcast, and they have a listing for the Hammerheads, but then they have a list for us too, and it just says selected games, which are the 15 that I do. So the Hammerheads may not do all games, and not all teams in the Florida State League have broadcast crews. Well, Mr. Hassey's getting more animated, and we're waiting. There he goes. Bye-bye. Now Mr. Hasse is really screaming in the face of Matt Moisen, pointing, gesturing, pointing again out to left field. I don't know why he's pointing. He's probably pointing to third base where the play was, but he's getting way more angry than the situation calls for. Nose to nose with Matt Moisen. And Moisen tells him time to go. Hasse's not going. This discussion started down by the third base coach's box, and now they've walked almost all the way back to home plate. And Hasse leaves. Well, back in the real world, nobody out. Bases are loaded. Hickman at third, Hayes at second, Ceballos at first. Manatees and trying to cling to a 4-3 lead. We're back to the top of the lineup, the center fielder, Kevin Matheson, who flied out twice and reached on a fielder's choice. Corner infielders are drawn in. The first pitch is a breaking ball left up high, 1-0. Peter Fosse at third is roughly parallel with the runner Hickman, a step or two onto the grass. The first baseman, Miranda, about even with the grass at first. 1-0 pitch. Fastball misses away, and that counts 2-0. Well, even though Ron Hasse has been ejected for the game, I'm guessing he's probably up the runway. and he'll be relaying his instructions from there. 2-0 pitch is a high fly ball to right field. Krieger takes a couple of steps and says goodbye. Grand slam for Kevin Madison. If you watch that video, I filmed the walking tour of the stadium, and you see the part where it looks out to right field that went way over the Hampton Inn sign on the upper level fence by a generous margin. Third home run of the year for Madison. First pitch to Guzman, up and in, ball one. Well, this game's getting ugly. We don't need headhunting. We've already lost an umpire and a manager. 1-0 pitch. Fastball misses away and it counts 2-0. Guzman singled, flied to center, and walked. 2-0 pitch. It's a hard grounder down to second. Sanchez has it, goes on to first for the first out. So with one out, that'll bring up the first baseman, Paul Grant. Grounded to short, singled, and grounded out into a fielder's choice to end the fourth. First pitch by Watton, down and in, ball one. Hello to the Heckathorn family listening in, saying hello. Thank you, David and Nancy, for letting me know you're out there. I figured you were. 1-0 pitch swung on and missed, and it counts 1-1. Hopefully Kyle's healthy and it just was one of those nights. And to be a big league pitcher, when you're scheduled to pitch and you have to protect the rest of your rotation and bullpen, if you're just not right, as long as you're not hurt, you have to go out and start, even if it's not your best night. Pitch at the outside corner with a breaking ball, and the count goes 1-2. 7-4. Hammerheads back in the lead here in the top of the sixth. 1-2 pitch. Is a grounder down to the shortstop Prince, who takes on a couple of hops, goes on to first for the second out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the plate tonight's beer batter. The left fielder, number 33, Jeremy.
So with two down, that brings up Jeremy Sinan, the left fielder, who's walked, flied out to center, and grounded to second. The first pitch misses away, 1-0. Kyle Heckathorn worked 5 innings. Trey Watton came in to relieve him, and make a long story short, gave up a grand slam before he retired the first out. 1-0 pitch. Breaking ball hits the outside corner, and it counts 1-1. We said he started his professional career at rookie level Helena in 2008 with a 5.40 ERA in 55 innings. 2009 with Wisconsin in the Midwest League, 5-14 with a 4.71 ERA, mostly as a starter. This pitch is bounced off the plate and it rolls foul behind the plate, and the count remains 1-2. Combine his numbers from those first 2 years: 188 2/3 innings, 136 strikeouts, 83 walks, and a combined ERA of 4.91. Drafted out of Abilene Christian University. 1-2 pitch. Fastball misses away, and the count goes 2-2. Two pitch is popped the other way, base hit down the left field line towards the corner. Brock Kelgard cuts it off, rounding first, and holding is Sinan. Here comes pitching coach Fred Dabney. And as we've mentioned many times, we cannot see the Manatees bullpen. down at the end of the stands on the first base side, tucked behind the stands. And that video shot of the walking tour, which is on spacecoastbaseball.com, we actually take you down there into the corner and into the bullpen. So for those of you who are listening who are players' parents and loved ones, and your players happen to be pitchers, you can see what their office looks like. Well, whatever Fred Dabney had to say, it was brief. So with Sinan on first and 2 down, that'll bring up the second baseman, Ernesto Manzanillo, who singled fly to left and grounded to second. First pitch by Watton. Fastball misses on the outside corner, 1-0. Sinan at first. 3 for 6 in stolen base attempts. 1-0 pitch is a grounder down towards the second baseman Sanchez, who flips to Prince at second for the final out. But the game turns ugly for the Manatees as the Hammerheads hit a grand slam. 4 runs on 2 hits, 3 hits, an error, and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and the Manatees trail the Hammerheads by a score of 7-4. Well, it's not often that I get a night that leaves me speechless, because I'm one to talk at the drop of a pen. But coming in tonight with one of the Manatees' top pitchers on the mound, facing the team with the worst offense in the league and the worst win-loss record, and the Manatees have been pretty hot as of late, I think we certainly didn't expect to see Kyle Heckathorn struggle in the first and give up 3 runs. Nor did we expect to see the home plate umpire KO'd in the first inning and replaced by the infield umpire, Matt Moyson. Nor did we expect to see the Brewers' roving hitting coordinator, Darnell Coles, pressed into emergency service at infield umpire. Nor did we expect to see a grand slam by Kevin Madison, who had only 2 dingers all year long. Nor did we expect to see Jupiter manager Ron Hassey ejected. So here in the bottom of the 6th, the Manatees trail 7-4. It'll be the bottom 3 in the order. Catcher Sean McCraw, left fielder Brock Kelgard, and second baseman Juan Sanchez. McCraw's doubled and flied out to left. Johnny Dorn in a 6th inning of work, and the first pitch is taken for a strike, 0-1. Dorn puts the soft tosser. His fastballs have topped out about 83, and that one was at 80 miles an hour. 0-1 pitch. Misses outside at an 80-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-1. I started to pontificate a couple innings ago about professional pitching coaches would tell you that velocity isn't as important as movement and location. Here's an off-speed pitch, relatively speaking, that misses away, 2-1. Dorn is proving that tonight, because he certainly does not have even average professional pitcher velocity. Fastball misses away, 3-1. But he's able to fool the batters enough that he's staying competitive. 3-1 pitch is a fly ball down the right field line, drifting towards the warning track, but there to catch it for the out is the right fielder Hickman. McCraw just got under that. That looked like it might have a chance to go, but he hit it too high, and he knows that he just missed his pitch. So with one out, that'll bring up Brock Kelgard, who has a pair of ringing singles into left field. Dorn's first pitch, breaking ball hits the outside corner at 72 miles an hour, 0-1. Next pitch by Dorn. Checks his swing, and it was off the plate. And interim infield umpire Darnell Cole says he didn't go around. 1-1. Kelgard has 12 dingers, and I don't think we've called any of them on the webcast yet. Here's a fly ball into right center field, drifting over into the alley of the center field Madison and the right fielder Hickman. Hickman has it for the second out. Kelgard stands up there at 6'5", 220, and looks just so powerful and athletic. I keep on waiting for him just to get into one and drill it all the way to the scoreboard in left field, but I don't think I've seen any of his home runs in the games that I've called so far. So with 2 down, that'll bring up the second baseman, Juan Sanchez, grounded to third and reached on a fielder's choice, giving Matt Klein the night off. Fastball up and in, ball 1. Now, after he gave up that grand slam, Trey Watton's first pitch to Javier Guzman, the Jupiter shortstop, was up and in, and we haven't seen any real retaliation yet. If there's going to be any, there's a grounder 1 hop to Guzman, who goes across to Grand for the final out. 1, 2, 3 go the Manatees in the 6th, and as we move to the 7th, it's the Hammerheads 7 and the Manatees 4.
Don't forget, folks, after every game, visit Uno's Chicago Grill and CC Line Wild on River Road. Show your tickets up with a free snack hour appetizer. That's Uno's Chicago Grill. All right, fans, it's time for the signature dance. Let's take it down to Superfan and it's Super Ladies.
I mentioned that there are a couple of Brewer fan sites out there that I know follow the Manatees. And both of them you can get to from the Space Coast Baseball website. If you go to the home page and you click on BC Manatees on the menu bar, you'll select fan sites, and then you'll see either Brew Crew Ball or BrewerFan.net. If there are other fan sites out there listening I'm not aware of, please by all means email me and let me know, and I will add you to the menu bar. We're going to have another pitching change for the Manatees, so the night is over for Trey Watton. This is a left-hander, and it's number 15, Mike Ramlow, R-A-M-L-O-W. Ramlow is making his 17th appearance of the year. 1 start, all the rest in relief. 1 and 2 with a 3.06 ERA in 35 and a third innings. 31 hits, 43 strikeouts in those 35 innings, and 11 walks. He'll be asked to hold the Hammerheads to their 7-4 lead. It'll be the top of the lineup. Well, no, it won't be. It'll be the number 5 hitter for the Hammerheads.
Third baseman, number 14, Jacob Smolinski.
Well, and scratch that. It'll be the third baseman, number 14, Jake Smolinski, followed by right fielder Tom Hickman, and the designated hitter, Brett Hayes. Ramlow winds, and his first pitch, fastball misses down low, 1-0. Well, a lot of relievers, when they come into the game, even with the bases empty, will work from a stretch. But Ramlow's working from a windup. This pitch is a foul ball down the right field line, curling back towards the aluminum bleachers, and it makes a nice clanging sound as it narrowly misses the mascot, Manny the Manatee, sitting down there with the kids, looking like he just had a near-death experience. Next pitch is a fastball inside corner, 1-1. 1-2, rather. We know a cat has 9 lives. I don't know how many lives a manatee has. 1-2 pitch is foul back to the right of us, just short of the luxury suites into the stands. It's another race for it, and I believe a young man came up with it. Count remains 1-2. Ramlow working from the third base side of the rubber. Next pitch is sliced the opposite way towards Krieger, giving ground, but it holds up for him, and Smolinski is gone, 1 out.
Now batting the right fielder, number 16, Thomas Hickman.
So that'll bring up the right fielder, Tom Hicklin, who's singled, grounded to first, and singled. Wind blowing from left to right, and it feels rather warm for this time of night. First pitch is grounded foul off the face of the railing in front of the Manatees dugout on the first base side. 0-1. Next pitch by Ramlow. Fastball misses away, 1-1. Lefty against lefty, the Hammerheads fielded a predominantly left-handed hitting lineup tonight. Next pitch is sliced foul over on the third base side. It clears the aluminum overhang and leaves the stadium, and the count goes 1-2. On deck is Brett Hayes. 1-2 pitch. Off-speed pitch right down to the first base coach. And that's infielder Tom Muxlich, and it's spelled, I was afraid I'd have to say him tonight. It's Muecklisch. Mucklish. Next pitch is a fly ball into short center field. Racing in is Eric Komatsu. Coming over from left is Brock Kelgard. Komatsu calls him off for the second out. So that brings up the DH, Brett Hayes. Struck out, walked, and reached on an error by Josh Prince. Ramlow's first pitch is a grounder down to third. Nice stop by Fotze across the diamond. A bullet to Sergio Miranda for the final out. Peter short-hopped that ball and got it across to Miranda for the final out. We'll let you listen to the 7th inning stretch as we go to the bottom of the 7th, and the Hammerheads lead the Manatees 7-4.
What's that? I can't hear you.
Just heard about the Vieira Suntree Little Leaguers. They are in their uniforms in the first row behind home plate. Bottom of the 7th, Jupiter leading Brevard 7-4. It'll be the top of the lineup for the Manatees, Josh Prince, followed by Peter Fotze and Eric Komatsu. Let's take another look at the Florida State League scores. Dunedin and Charlotte completing a game postponed from earlier, I believe. And the Blue Jays won that one 5-0 over the Charlotte Stone Crabs. Game number 2 in the bottom of the 5th in Charlotte, and The Stone Crabs lead that one by a score of 5-0. They're done in Palm Beach. The Cardinals winning 7-2 over Clearwater. After 6th in St. Lucie, the Mets trailed the Flying Tigers 7-5. Wow, first pitch by Johnny Dorn, a good 10 feet behind Josh Prince. If Johnny Dorn didn't throw so softly, you'd almost be worried about that. 1-0. Next pitch is in, and now we're going to have a warning. Matt Moisen, the home plate umpire, came right in front of Josh Prince because Josh took a step towards the mound. Now we're getting a warning. Matt Moisen points to both dugouts, and now here comes manager Bob Missick down from the third base coach's box. Here comes interim manager Doc Watson. Well, actually, the pitching coach, Doc Watson, for Jupiter. He walks right past the manager, Bob Missick, and past the umpire, and he's going out to talk to Johnny Dorn. We were speculating in the last inning whether or not there would be retaliation for after Trey Watton gave up a grand slam. His first pitch was up and in at the Jupiter shortstop Javier Guzman. Well, now Brevard shortstop Josh Prince is at the plate. First pitch was 10 feet behind him for ball one. Next pitch was up and in for ball two. That was enough for umpire Matt Moisen to issue an official warning to both sides. Now, you might wonder, why is he issuing a warning to the Manatees? Well, that's what the rule book says. There's no more of this, well, you got a shot in, I got a shot in, and we even things out. They don't want any retaliation. So the warning goes to both sides, and Bob Missick certainly saying, well, why are we getting a warning? That's the way it is. Fastball hits the outside corner, 2-1 to Josh Prince. Now, the problem with the warning is that if there's a pitch that's inside or comes close or somebody gets hit, next pitch is a breaking ball and misses away, 3-1. If in the umpire's judgment that he thinks that next pitch that maybe was in or even hit the batter was intentional, that pitcher gets ejected. 3-1 pitch is high, ball four. So that'll bring up the third baseman, Peter Fatse. Popped out to short and grounded out twice to second. Josh Prince, 37 stolen bases this year. There's only one man who has more, and that's the center fielder, Madison, who has 39. There's a token toss over to first, and Prince dives back in. Madison came in with 38 and has stolen one in this game to go to 39. He actually stole third. This pitch is swung on and foul back into the net, 0-1. Well, hopefully we can just get back to playing baseball here. Josh has a modest lead at first. The next pitch is down and in, and the count goes 1-1. No one warming up in the Jupiter bullpen. Someone has been up from time to time. The bullpen parallels the left field wall. The fence is about 5 feet tall, and so we can only see maybe from the shoulders up of whoever is warming up down there. So it's really kind of hard to make out who it is other than maybe left-handed or right-handed. This pitch is swung on. It's a fly ball down the opposite line and left, but it'll fall foul. One and two. Foxy batting left-handed, so with Prince on first, leaves the hole open on the right side as he's held on by the first baseman Grant. It's a changeup swung on and missed, strike three. The first time that the Manatees have struck out tonight against Johnny Dorn. So that'll bring up center fielder Eric Komatsu, grounded to third, singled, and lined out to short. Being the excellent hitter that he is, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Bob Missick puts on a play here and puts Prince in motion, maybe a hit and run. First pitch fastball misses outside, 1-0. In 374 at-bats this year, Komatsu struck out only 47 times. In fact, 48 walks to 47 strikeouts coming into the game. Next pitch by Dorn. Fastball hits the outside corner at a blazing 83 miles an hour, and the count goes 1-1. Well, we were talking about how it is that it's not so much velocity as movement and location, and certainly you can look at knuckleballers as proof of that. Throw back to first, and Prince dives back in. Brevard County product Tim Wakefield, a veteran knuckleballer with the Boston Red Sox, certainly is proof of that. He's had a long career. 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed on a curveball, and the count goes 1-2. On deck is Angel Salome. 7-4 Jupiter here in the bottom of the seventh. Manatees have a runner on first. Josh Prince with one out, and Eric Komatsu at the plate. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, and it sliced foul the opposite way. Misses by an inch, going into the front row down there just beyond the tarp. An adult fan reached over, tried to catch it, but it was about 2 inches short of his grasp. Yeah. 1-2 count to Komatsu. And the pitch. Down and in, and it's blocked by the catcher, Ceballos, and the count goes 2-2. To Eric Komatsu. Came into the game the number 2 hitter and batting average in the league at .324. Two pitch. Fastball misses away, and the count goes 3-2. Well, if Komatsu and reach and advance Prince into scoring position, that would bring up Angel Salome representing the potential tying run. There goes Prince, and the 3-2 pitch is taken, ball 4. 49th walk of the year for Komatsu. He came into the game tied in the league for number 2 with Tim Becken of Charlotte at 48. 8 behind Robbie Grossman of Bradenton, who has 56. That's going to be it for Johnny Dorn as the Hammerheads pitching coach, Doc Watson, comes out to relieve him for the night. And we'll find out who the new pitcher is in just a moment. I'll try to give you more scores here in the Florida State League. We left off telling you that at St. Lucie, the Mets were trailing the Flying Tigers 7-5 after 6. Up the road in Daytona, the Cubs trailing Bradenton 8-1, top of the 7th. The second game underway at Charlotte, that's a 7-inning game, and the Stone Crabs, Tampa Bay Rays affiliate, leading Dunedin by a score of 5-0. And in Fort Myers, the Miracle, the Minnesota Twins affiliate, trailing the Tampa Yankees, who were in the top of the 8th, leading 8-3. So, if these scores continue the way they are, Daytona loses and Tampa wins, then Tampa would move within one game of Daytona for first place in the North Division. And the Manatees, if they lose tonight, would remain 3 games back. Let's see if we can tell you who the new pitcher is for Jupiter. It looks like he's wearing number 31, and there is no number 31 on the roster we were given before the game. Yeah, we're number 31. There's no number 31 on the roster. So I guess we'll call him Hey You until we have a name.
Ladies and gentlemen, now hitting for the Manatees, the designated hitter, number 16, Angel Salome.
So that'll bring up Angel Salome. Fly to center, singled and singled. Salome has 2 home runs in his 128 at-bats coming into this game. First pitch, fastball down and away, 1-0. Again, we do not know who the pitcher is on the mound for Jupiter. He's just wearing number 31. Working from the stretch, standing on the first base side of the rubber. Here's a line drive into right field for a base hit. Coming around third and held up is Josh Prince. Stopping at second is Eric Komatsu. Angel Salome on first with his 3rd single of the night. So that brings up Sergio Miranda with 1 out and the bases loaded. Sergio hit his first home run of the year last Friday night, and that video is on spacecoastbaseball.com. Underneath the videos column on the left side, you'll see where it says click here to watch Sergio's first stinger, and he did that while his parents were here in town to watch. First pitch by Mr. No Name is taken high, ball 1. Next pitch misses away, and the count goes 2-0. Time call as the catcher, Jose Ceballos, goes out to talk to number 31. Now, he may be a late addition or change to the Jupiter roster, or it could just be that one of the players got the wrong jersey and brought it with him. 2-0 pitch is a line drive to right field, but right there for Hickman for the out. Coming in to score is Prince, and advancing to third is Komatsu, and the deficit's cut to 7-5. So Sergio Miranda will get credited with a sacrifice fly to right. Salome holding at first. Prince scores on the sacrifice fly, and advancing to third is Eric Komatsu. So that'll bring up Scott Krieger, 0 for 3, grounded into double play, fly to right, and grounded to third. Krieger with 8 home runs. First pitch swung on and missed, 0-1. Represents the go-ahead run. 0-1 pitch. Same pitch, and this one he gets just a piece of it and leaves it foul at home plate, and the count goes 0-2. Well, this pitcher does not seem to have any more velocity to him than his predecessor, Johnny Dorn. Seems to be throwing in the mid-80s at best. The Minor League Baseball stats site, which is a private site, does not list number 31 either. All I can tell you is that he's right-handed. This pitch is poked the opposite way into right field, base hit. Coming in to score is Komatsu. Holding up at second is Salome, and it's now 7-6 on the base hit by Scott Krieger. So that'll bring up the catcher, Sean McCraw, who doubled, flied out to left and flied out to right. Well, Jupiter got on the board first in the top of the first with 3 runs. First pitch down low. 1-0. And the Manatees put 4 runs on the board in the bottom of the third to take a 4-3 lead. 1-0 pitch, inside corner, taken for a strike, and the count goes 1-1. Then Kevin Madison slammed Trey Watton in the top of the 6th to make it 7-4 Jupiter. Now the Manatees have chipped away for 2 runs here in the bottom of the 7th. Next pitch, checked his swing. Did he go around? No. And it's 2-1. Next pitch is swung on. That's a foul ball down the third baseline. Racing over toward the railing is Smolinski, who reaches over trying to get it, but it's beyond his reach. And the count goes 2-2. I'm looking at the minor league baseball website, MILB.com, and if you click on scoreboard on the menu bar and select the Florida State League, it gives you both a running box score and play-by-play for the game. And I was hoping to see if they had figured out yet who number 31 is, and if they have, it's not posted yet. I don't think they know. 2-2 pitch. Fastball misses away, and the count goes full, 3-2. Well, with the count full with 2 outs, Salome on second and Krieger on first, they'll be going on the pitch. So a base hit by McCraw with Salome running at second might be enough to score him, even though he's slow of foot. There they go, and the 3-2 pitch is a line drive foul down the first baseline, right at a fan in the aluminum bleachers, an adult who tried to catch that laser with his hands. Not a bright idea. It bounced off his hands, but came to a stop nearby, picked it up, and gave it to a little blonde girl next to him, probably his daughter. His hands are going to hurt in the morning. Count remains full, 3-2. The runners go. This pitch is a fly ball to center field. Madison is there, a few steps to his left for the final out. But the Manatees get closer with 2 runs on 2 hits, a pair of walks, no errors, and 2 left. And after 7 here at Space Coast Stadium in Vieira, it's the Hammerheads 7 and the Manatees 6. I'm going to put the headset out the window and run next door real fast and see if they figured out who the new pitcher is. I'll be right back. Okay, mystery solved. The pitcher who came in to relieve Dorn in the bottom of the 7th was Chris Squires, Squires, number 25 on the roster. But he's listed, as I said, he's listed as number 25, but he was wearing 31. And sometimes what happens is the uniform gets behind. Left behind, or the wrong one gets packed, or something happens, and there's an extra jersey that's kept just as a universal spare in case of emergency. Squires only recently arrived with Jupiter. That was just his 3rd appearance, so he's only worked 4 innings in the Florida State League. 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, and a walk. Hasn't allowed a run. All right, top of the 8th. Mike Ramlow into his 2nd inning of work. He'll be the number 9 hitter, Jose Ceballos, and then back to the top of the lineup with Kevin Madison and Javier Guzman. Ceballos singled, grounded into a fielder's choice, and reached a second time on a fielder's choice. First pitch taken for a strike, 0-1. Next pitch by Ramlow, swung on and missed at a changeup, and the count goes 0-2. Flags have gone limp in left center field. Every once in a while the wind picks up and they flutter going from left to right. Fastball misses away and the count's 1-2. If you watch that video of the walking tour, you'll see we have a light standard that's out there in straightaway left field just to the right of the scoreboard. And at the top of that light standard is an osprey nest. Swung on and missed on a curveball. The ball gets away from the catcher McCraw, so he goes down to Miranda at first for the first out. So it's a strikeout, 2-3. You go to the top of the lineup now for Kevin Madison. And I think in the overview shots in that video you can maybe see the osprey nest. But it's a very common thing around Brevard County to see these osprey nests at the top of light standards, telephone poles, power poles. First pitch is a fastball. It's a corner, strike 1. They will get any kind of debris they can to build their nests up there, and a piece of that just fell off of the light standard, which is why I noticed it. There's a line drive into center field that'll fall in front of Eric Komatsu for a base hit. So the league's leading base stealer singles, and it lands in front of the number 2 base stealer, Eric Komatsu. Madison came in with 38, swiped number 39 in the 4th when he stole third base. And you got to think he's thinking about number 40 right now, trying to help pad a 1-run lead. Fred Dabney comes out to talk to Mike Ramlow. Joining them there at the mound is the catcher Sean McCraw and the shortstop Josh Prince. But in any case, those osprey, very fierce. They're sort of like a hawk, very protective of their territories. And believe you me, they will go after anything else. I saw one tear into it may have been an owl or something similar in size the other day. First pitch swung on and missed on a breaking ball inside, 0-1. So osprey are best left alone, and nature takes its course. But they don't seem to mind the lights. The lights shine below them, so I don't think any heat they're giving off must not be that bad. Here's a grounder down to third, taken on one bounce by Fotze. He goes down to Sanchez at 1, on to first, double play. 5-4-3. Well, a little surprised that Madison didn't try to rip off a bag there. Maybe the red light was out. But in any case, no runs. A hit, no errors, and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Manatees looking for a run. They trail the Hammerheads 7-6. Not much time for you to get an email in with a question, comment, observation, or a howdy do. The email address is home@spacecoastbaseball.com. That's home@spacecoastbaseball.com. And once again, a reminder that these 15 Manatees webcasts that we're doing this year are strictly voluntary because the Manatees don't have a radio contract, so we're not compensated by the Manatees or the Brewers or anybody else. So if you appreciate the effort that we're making and the costs that go into not just doing the broadcast but also the videos and photos that you see on spacecoastbaseball.com, please consider making a one-time voluntary contribution or a $5 a month voluntary subscription. You'll see a link on the spacecoastbaseball.com homepage where you can find out more. Well, Chris Squires has come and gone, so we're going to have a new pitcher here in the bottom of the 8th for Jupiter, number 13, Ryan Tucker. Tucker was ranked last spring by Baseball America as the number 6 prospect in the Marlins system. He was drafted out of high school in 2005 in the supplemental phase of the first round. And here's what Baseball America had to say about Ryan Tucker. They wrote the Marlins' 4th of 5 picks before the second round in 2005. Tucker signed for $975,000 as a sandwich pick. Not a bad day. He reached the majors for 3 weeks midway through 2008 when he was Florida's minor league pitcher of the year.
Here come your Brevard County Manatees.
Surgery on his left knee limited him to 6 starts last season.
Off to the bottom of the 8th for your Manatees, the left fielder, number 33,
Brock Helgard coming up to bat, followed by Juan Sanchez and Josh Prince. We'll get back to what B.A. had to say about Ryan Tucker here in just a moment. First pitch by Tucker. Fastball misses away, 1-0. B.A. continues. They say Tucker at his best shows an overpowering fastball that sits at 92 to 95 and touches 97. 1-0 pitch, swung on a miss on a changeup, and the count goes 1-1. In fact, B.A. says that Tucker likes throwing his changeup but isn't afraid to keep it in his arsenal even as a reliever. At times, he'll show a tight, late-breaking slider. Next pitch is swung on and fouled over on the right side, goes past the aluminum overhang and out of the stands. The count goes 1-2. He's described as a bulldog on the mound. When things go wrong, Tucker tries to hump up with his fastball, a habit that big league hitters exploited during his brief trial in 2008. 1-2 pitch to Kelgard is fouled back this way to the right of us, and it goes over the roof of the press box. Count remains 1-2. While he has learned to control his emotions since being suspended in 2007 for a pair of confrontations with his pitching coach, here's a pop fly on the infield. The first baseman, Gran, has it a step or two in fair territory for the first out.
Ladies and gentlemen, now hitting the second baseman, number 30, Juan Sanchez.
So they'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Juan Sanchez, who grounded to third, reached on a fielder's choice, and grounded to short. Continuing with what Baseball America had to say on Ryan Tucker, he was suspended in 2007 for a pair of confrontations with his pitching coach at Jupiter, Reed Cornelius. Cornelius not here this year. It's somebody named Steve Watson. First pitch away and in the dirt, 1-0. B.A. concludes that he still profiles best as a short reliever, but the Marlins have mostly kept him in their minor league rotations in order to help him hone his craft while he's pitching in relief tonight. Next pitch up and in, and the count goes 2-0. Now, with that pitch up and in, a reminder that home plate umpire Matt Moyson has issued a warning to both sides. So if he thinks a pitch is intentionally at a batter, he can eject that pitcher. Here's a bouncer back to the mound. Tucker throws a bullet over to first for the second out. So we go back to the top of the lineup and Josh Prince.
Ladies and gentlemen, now hitting the shortstop, number 17, Josh Prince.
This is Tucker's 12th appearance of the year with Jupiter in 10 2/3 innings, 15 hits, 8 runs, 5 strikeouts, and 11 walks. Tucker working from the stretch at his first pitch, fastball way away, 1-0. That was clocked at 94. Prince grounded to short, singled again, and walked. 1-0 pitch is a high pop fly into short right field. The right fielder, Hickman, is there for the final out. So Tucker gets the job done in the bottom of the 8th. 1-2-3, down go the Manatees. And we go to the 9th with Jupiter leading Brevard by a score of 7-6. Let's visit the Major League scores again. Starting in the American League, top of the 9th across the state in Tampa, the Rays leading the Twins by a score of 6-3. They're warming up in Oakland. The Oakland A's hosting the Kansas City Royals. How many of you remember that the Oakland A's were at one time in Kansas City? They moved in 1969 to the Bay. And where were they before then? Philadelphia. They're warming up in Seattle. The Mariners hosting the first place Texas Rangers in the American League West Division. At Baltimore, the Orioles rallied to take the game away from the Los Angeles Angels and win 6-3. They completed a game postponed for May 17th in Detroit, and the Tigers lost that one to the White Sox 12-2. And then the regular scheduled game is now over, and the Tigers won that one by a score 7-1. And in the Bronx, the Yankees lost to the Toronto Blue Jays by a score of 8-2. And at Fenway Park in Boston, the Red Sox have won over the Indians 3-1. National League, they're in the top of the sixth in Pittsburgh. The Pirates leading the Reds by a score of 7-1. Bottom of the ninth in Atlanta, the Braves trailing the New York Mets 3-2. Top of the sixth at Wrigley Field, and the Brewers lead the Cubs 3-1. Top of the sixth in St. Louis, the Astros leading the Cardinals 9-3. Top of the fifth in Colorado, the Rockies trailing the Giants 6-0. Top of the second inning in Phoenix, and the Nationals out to 1-0 lead over the Diamondbacks. And just getting underway in Los Angeles, the Dodgers and the Padres. Another pitching change for the Manatees here in the top of the ninth. Right-hander Ruben Flores, the fourth pitcher of the night for the Manatees. Ruben, 21st relief appearance of the year, 1-2 with a 4.62 ERA. 25 1/3 innings, 25 strikeouts, 22 walks. So averages a strikeout and a walk per inning. Paul Graham steps in, swings at the first pitch, and hits a fly ball to right field. Scott Krieger came in a couple of steps now, giving ground as the ball drifts in the soft wind and has it for the first out. So one down, that'll bring up the left fielder, Jeremy Sinan. Crowd here is thinned considerably. I would have guessed we had around 1,500 when we started, but now maybe down to maybe 300 or 400 on a weeknight when people need to go to work tomorrow. First pitch by Flores. Fastball outside corner, strike one, 91 miles an hour. Right-handed Flores against left-handed batting Sinan. And the 0-1 pitch, breaking ball taken low, and the count's 1-1. Flores has given up only one home run this year. Sinan has 5. 1-1 pitch. It's a fly ball down the left field line. Kellegard racing in and has it for the second out. He was joined out there in left field by the third baseman Peter Fotze and the shortstop Josh Prince, but really that was Kellegard's ball. So with 2 down, that'll bring up the second baseman Ernesto Manzanillo, who singled, fly to left, grounded to second, and was left on first on a fielder's choice to end the sixth. Flores working from the stretch with nobody on. The first pitch, it's a fastball down and away, 1-0. Nobody warming up in the Jupiter bullpen, so it looks like it's going to be Tucker's ninth. Next pitch, fastball in the inside corner, and the count goes 1-1. Next pitch, Osby pitch misses away, 2-1. Had a couple of questions in email about the status of the umpire. To be honest, I really don't know, because the last thing I saw was him leaving the field. Next pitch is down and in, fastball 92 miles an hour. It's taken 3-1. If I had to guess based on what I saw, I was guessing that he was removed for precautionary reasons, that perhaps at worst maybe he's being taken for an MRI or X-rays. Next pitch is swung on a foul back into the net, and the count goes 3-2. He seemed to have his wits about him. It's not like he was falling over like he was about to pass out. And to me, it looked a little bit more like a precautionary measure. 3-2 pitch. Swung on and it's fouled back to the left of us over the press box, and the count remains 3-2. But the Manatees trainer, Tommy Craig, certainly took his time examining him. 3-2 pitch. Foul back into the net, and the count remains 3-2. Email from Jake Smolinski's family in Rockford, Illinois, saying thank you for listening. Wonder how you felt about when he was traded by the Nationals. Here's a fly ball to right field. Scott Krieger giving ground and has it for the final out. So 3 fly balls recorded by Ruben Flores to retire the Hammerheads in order. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. The Hammerheads still leading the Manatees by a score of 7-6. Of course, it's a shock any time that a player gets traded, especially in the minor leagues, when you don't really expect that kind of thing to happen. You think that kind of happens after you get to the big leagues. And I said at the beginning of the broadcast, and I've said many times before, my other website, FutureAngels.com, covers the Angels minor leagues. I've done that since 1998, and the Angels were very aggressive in the last couple of days before the July 31st trade deadline, trading 5 minor leaguers in 2 trades to get Alberto Callaspo from the Royals and Dan Herron from the Diamondbacks. In fact, one of the players that the Angels sent to Arizona, Tyler Skaggs, officially hasn't been traded yet. And that's due to a somewhat obscure rule that everybody in the business knows about, which is that you cannot be traded for 1 year after you sign. So Skaggs was selected in the supplemental phase of the first round of the June 2009 draft. He didn't sign until August 7. So officially, the trade for Herron had a player to be named later. That player, it's become rather transparent that it's Tyler Skaggs. He's with the Angels affiliate in Cedar Rapids, and he hasn't pitched since that trade. And in fact, the Cedar Rapids Gazette newspaper ran a story yesterday interviewing Skaggs, basically admitting that he can't do anything other than soft toss until August 7, and then he's going to report to the Diamondbacks minor league system. But it's always a shock, because once you are acquired, signed by a team, and you start your career with them, you think that's where you're going to build your profession, and then you find out it really is just a business. First pitch to Peter Fosse, swung on and missed, 0-1. So you collect all your parent club's memorabilia, hats, jerseys, T-shirts, and then all of a sudden you're traded, and that stuff doesn't mean anything to you anymore. Next pitch swung on and foul the opposite way on the third base side, and the count goes 0-2. So I'm sure the Smolinski family went through a little bit of a shock when Jake was traded to the Marlins. 0-2 pitch, fastball way away, goes the backstop, just a bit outside. Thank you, Bob Euchre. And the count goes 1-2. Jake was traded in November 2008 to the Marlins, along with second baseman Elemidio Bonifacio and pitcher P.J. Dean, for Josh Willingham and Scott Olson. Next pitch is grounded foul down the first baseline, and the count remains 1-2. But Always keep in mind there are 30 major league teams out there who are potential employers, and somebody else will always want you if you have any talent. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, he just gets a piece of it and it rolls away from home plate, and the count remains 1-2. On deck is Eric Komatsu. Manatees trailing 7-6 here in the bottom of the ninth. Peter Fosse trying to reach base. 1-2 pitch. Fastball high and away, 2-2. As we said, Tucker's Achilles heel has been walks. So the best thing that Fosse can do here is protect the plate and try to work his way on base so that Komatsu can advance him. 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, strike 3. That's the second time that Fosse has struck out.
Ladies and gentlemen, now hitting the center fielder, number 8, Eric Komatsu.
So that'll bring up center fielder Eric Komatsu. Grounded to third, singled, lined to short, and walked. First pitch to Eric. Breaking ball curls across the plate for a strike, 0-1. Now, for the Smolinski family, they indicate they live in Rockford, Illinois, and if you know your baseball movie trivia, you know that a league of their own, that the home team is the Rockford Peaches from the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. Here's a line drive down the right field line. Diving for it is Hickman. Did he trap it? Yes. No. He didn't trap it. He caught it. Emergency umpire Darnell Coles signals that Hickman caught it for the out. I thought maybe that Hickman had trapped that, but Darnell Coles, emergency umpire, and the rest of the time Brewers' roving minor league hitting coordinator, was out there close enough that he could see the play. So the Manatees down to their final out, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Angel Salome, who's flied out to center and singled 3 times. I'm just curious if the Smolinski family's still out there, if Rockford ever makes a big deal about being one of the homes of the All-American Girls Baseball League. First pitch misses away, 1-0. Next pitch to Salome, swung on and missed on a curveball, and the count goes 1-1. Manatees down to their last out. Salome does have the potential to hit a home run now and then. 1-1 pitch. Fastball way away, and the count goes 2-1. Well, we're past the 3-hour mark in this ball game. It's been one misadventure after another. 2-1 pitch. The slider hits the outside corner, and the count goes 2-2. And so now Manatees now down to their final strike. But as sage philosopher Yogi Berra would remind us, it ain't over till it's over. 2-2 pitch is a bouncer down to the shortstop Guzman, who goes across to Granite at first, and it's over. Hammerheads win by a score of 7-6. Line score for Jupiter, 7 runs, 10 hits, no errors. For the Manatees, 6 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. The win will go to the starting pitcher for Jupiter, Johnny Dorn. He'll be 3-8. The loss in relief will go to Trey Watton. He'll be now 2-7. And Ryan Tucker will get a save in relief. That'll be his 4th save of the year for Jupiter in 7 opportunities. Well, to recap the major events in this game, the most important one, of course, is worrying about the health of the home plate umpire, Roberto Medina. And we have every reason to think that he's going to be just fine. In the top of the first, Brett Hayes swung and fouled the pitch right back into the face of Medina, who, of course, wears a mask. He sat down from the force of the ball striking him in the face. The trainer for the Manatees, Tommy Craig, came out and examined him thoroughly, and the decision was made that he should leave the field. So the infield umpire, Matt Moisen, had to go in and change into the home umpiring protective gear. And then, according to organized baseball rules, the managers for both sides had to jointly agree on an emergency interim umpire. And they went with Darnell Coles, who is in town as Milwaukee Brewers' roving hitting coordinator. So he took the role on the field as the emergency infield umpire. And thank goodness, no really controversial calls involving him. The closest one was the one at third base that got Jupiter manager Ron Hasse ejected when Jupiter runner was coming into third and got tangled up with Peter Fatse. It was a force play, and the throw down to third got past Fatse. Fatse apparently maybe got spiked on the hand, or his hand got tweaked. But Jupiter was arguing that maybe Fatse kept him from getting up and scoring, and after a exceptionally long, unnecessarily long and prolonged argument by Hasse, he didn't want to seem to leave, and suddenly he got very animated, trying his darndest to get tossed, and he finally succeeded, so he was gone. We also had a grand slam hit by Hammerhead center fielder Kevin Madison in the top of the sixth that took Jupiter from a 4-3 deficit to a 7-4 lead. And the first pitch after that to Jupiter shortstop Javier Guzman by Trey Watton, who gave up the slam, was up and in at Guzman. Well, Jupiter apparently took offense to that, because when Josh Prince came up in the bottom of the seventh, being the shortstop for the Manatees, the equivalent of Guzman for Jupiter, apparently Jupiter chose to retaliate by throwing at Prince, and the first pitch by Johnny Dorn was way behind Prince. I'd say a good 10 feet behind him, but Dorn throws very softly, so no harm done there. But then the second one was way up and in at his chin, and Prince took a step or two towards the mound, and now home plate umpire Matt Moisen got quickly in front of Prince to keep him from going to the mound, and Moisen issued warnings to both sides. So thankfully, there were no further incidents after that, anything that was borderline that would have led to an ejection by a pitcher on either side. But in any case, we managed to get through the rest of the game, and the Manatees chipped away at their 7-4 deficit, putting 2 runs on the board in the bottom of the seventh, but that's as close as they could get as Ryan Tucker came on in relief to get the save. And the Manatees lose to the Jupiter Hammerheads by a score of 7-6. So the Manatees go on the road starting tomorrow night. They will be in Bradenton tomorrow night for a 4-game series against the South Division's leaders, the Bradenton Marauders. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 7 p.m., and then the Saturday night game is at 6 if you happen to be over here in Brevard and you want to make the drive across the state. After Bradenton, the Manatees go on to Dunedin for 3 games against the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays currently also ran in the second half North Division race, but they won the first half, so they're obviously still dangerous. That's a 5 o'clock game on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday they're done in Dunedin at 7 p.m. They have an off day on Wednesday, but then Thursday they get back on the bus and drive across the state to Lakeland for 1 road game against the Flying Tigers. Then they come back here on the 13th and 14th for 2 home games, Friday and Saturday night at 7:05 against the Flying Tigers. And then 3 home games on the 15th, 16th, and 17th against the Dunedin Blue Jays. The Sunday game at 6:05, and then the Monday and Tuesday games are at 7:05. And that Tuesday the 17th game will be our next webcast. We have only 3 webcasts remaining in the regular season. There is the Tuesday, August 17th game against Dunedin. And then 3 days later, we're back here on the 20th for the game against Lakeland. That is a 1-game homestand. That's kind of an odd situation because after that home 3-game series against Dunedin, they go on the road for 2 games to Lakeland, and then Friday the 20th, they're back here for 1 game. And then Saturday the 21st, up the road to Daytona for 1 game, and then back home on Sunday for 1 game against Daytona. So, hey, the league's schedule makers seem to be having a sense of humor when he made this one out. But in any case, the remaining 3 webcasts, Tuesday, August 17th, 7:05 against the Dunedin Blue Jays. Friday, August 20th at 7:05 against the Lakeland Flying Tigers. And then the final webcast for the regular season will be Wednesday, August 25th, 7:05 against the Tampa Yankees. If the Manatees should make it into the playoffs, well, we'll do our best to cover all the home games, but that remains to be seen. Of course, that's going to depend on my availability. I'm currently unemployed, which is another reason why I'm asking for donations to help cover the cost of doing these webcasts. But if I'm out there efforting, as Dan Patrick would say, and if I do happen to come up with a full-time job before then, of course, that may impact the broadcast schedule for the rest of the year. But we shall see. So, again, a reminder that if you want to help with the costs of SpaceCoastBaseball.com, either with the webcasts or the photos or the videos, you can go to the homepage at www.spacecoastbaseball.com, and there's a link there which will tell you more about how you can make a one-time donation or sign up for a $5 a month voluntary subscription. And for those of you who have already contributed this year, I really do appreciate your generosity, and I realize it's a tough time for everyone right now in this economy, and certainly not alone in being unemployed. But in any case, every contribution helps, no matter how large or small. I prefer large, and if you happen to be a bazillionaire and you want to send me a check with a lot of zeros, I won't object. But I know for most of you that's just not in the realm of possibility. But anything you could do to help is definitely appreciated, and certainly have appreciated your patience over the year, not only with the occasional bleeding for financial aid, but also, again, not being a professional broadcaster, trying to hone my skills on the fly here as we go along. And if you want to check any of the prior webcasts that we've done, they're all archived on SpaceCoastBaseball.com. They're on the menu bar. Click on Multimedia and then select Audio, and you'll see all the prior webcasts this year. So once again, final score, the Jupiter Hammerheads, with the worst win-loss record in the league, take 3 out of 4 here at home against the Manatees. The final score tonight, Jupiter 7 and the Manatees 6. We'll be back on the 17th for our next webcast against the Dunedin Blue Jays. Stephen Smith for SpaceCoastBaseball.com. Thank you for listening, and good night.